takes a couple of seconds.
Hey, looks like we're live now. Says live. It says live. Oh, I just don't know what happened there. Anyway, today is the 26th of January, 2018. We have Judith from Israel. We have artists from Germany. And we have, of course, Mr. Thrive and Survive. So we start again. Ta-da!
Ta-da.
America doesn't have the majority here today for the first time. We're all even today.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I was explaining that you've been a very busy person, haven't you?
Yes, very busy and looking at things from the light and dark side. And I explained on our little, what we thought we were live, that I took a break, went to the movie, saw Darkest Hour, and then I saw a preview that something else said this was their darkest day or hour about Afghanistan, and I just thought it was pretty ironic that in my mind, I think we're coming down to a singular point in time where it's going to be, to me, like 9/11. Next week, I think, is going to be 9/11, where the collective consciousness, whatever causes it, there's going to be a moment in time where we know everything has changed in our world, and I think that's coming next week. I think it'll come by Wednesday at the latest, or Tuesday, which is the State of the Union. And I'm still wondering if Trump is going to be the one standing up there giving it on Tuesday, and if Pence will be behind him.
So you were actually saying that you wanted support for the president, didn't you?
Yeah, I asked for prayers for the president and for the country. I think he does have the deep state cornered, and we are reaching a point. I don't know how much you follow over there, all the stupid politics about release the memo and all that. That's not a stupid thing, but they've used delay tactics to bring that out. Let me give you the gravity of what's going to come out. Not only with that memo, but we have this thing where there was missing texts between FBI agents. These are supposed to be individual law enforcement for the federal government who do not have a political agenda. They just go wherever the evidence takes them. But we have them texting the day after the election of the president in 2016, President Trump. Now, remember, he hadn't taken office yet. There's a delay. You have the election, and then you have the electors meet in December, and then you have the actual inauguration that happens January 20th. So on January 9th, the day after the election, between two different FBI agents talking about having a meeting of the secret society to see what they can do about Trump. And I have listened to enough people to know what's in those missing texts and why they haven't been put out, disappeared, but they're so grave in what they were discussing. They were discussing an open coup of the president to knock out a duly elected president. And mark my words, it's going to come out that they were going to, they knew they can't bribe Trump, but they were going to kidnap his grandchildren, the sons of Donald Jr. They were going to kidnap them.
What?
And if that didn't work, just assassinate him. And I think they're down to the assassination right now, as far as that's what they have left. It's a very pivotal time in history. Everybody that's a Christian needs to humbly ask for the protection or for God's will to be done, whatever it is. Things like this haven't happened in our history, where we've had this deep state, which has really controlled things for, I don't even want to say how many years, it's been way too long, more or less. Some presidents more, some presidents less. When presidents didn't go with the flow, so to speak, they were taken out. From that map I had last week, Lincoln evidently was taken out because he severed ties with the Vatican back to that power. Then we had, that was restored under Reagan. Reagan had an assassination attempt under him too, but I believe for different things. He was one of the modern presidents influenced by the deep state, I believe. And that's why most Americans love Ronald Reagan, because he actually did things for the people instead of the deep state as much as he could. He was limited. He had his flaws. Donald Trump isn't perfect. This isn't a left-right thing. It's not that. It's are you for freedom and liberty or are you not? That's what it's coming down to. And it's controlled so long that has made so many quadrillions of dollars. When you learn the bottom line of it is they are gathering real estate, which is land. They're buying legally all the land in the world through their Ponzi schemes. And corporate interest, that's really what it is. It's a corporate fascist type of world that they're trying to bring in with this new world order. And they got so close. We learned in the Q post this last week that it was a 16-year plan, 8-year for Obama, and then it would be completed under Hillary, which would culminate in World War III, and then the elimination of borders and all the nonsense that goes with that, and then you have one global government. So they were actually on the pinnacle of letting it be done. And my question is, with my biblical background, I see in the Bible that that will happen. There will be a global government, but are we going to get a reprieve from that, or are we going to that? Biblically speaking, I'm just going to give my theories, and they're just theories. I know people will beat me up about it, but I say do your own research, come to your own conclusions. If you don't agree, you don't agree. There was a force in the White House, Steve, represented what people called Antichrist. Now, Obama, most people don't notice because the mainstream media won't go there. He had taken out every Christian symbol and icon in the White House. And the White House 5 times a day would pause and face east. We had a Muslim in the White House. Again, Albert Pike's Third World War was going to be Muslims versus Christians. That's why Obama was in there. Barry Soetoro, that's coming out too, his real history. If the dark side exposed, and none of this will be exposed, and God help the rest of us. And maybe God will help the rest of us. That's where I think we are in history. Now, that's the broad overview. So, but this time I'd like to see if there's any questions and stuff like that from the people watching this time. We didn't get that there last time. Or if you all have any other questions. There isn't really that much new. There's some new details of things that we didn't know before they came out in Q post. For example,
Maybe
Obama
they're actually saying hello so far. Hello, Rich. Hello, hello. They're all just saying hello.
We did, according to Q. Oh, by the way, Trump and Q verified each other this week. Again, they put a time marker in 22 minutes. 22 minutes after Q posted 2 days ago. 22 minutes later, exactly. This is how we confirm the new Q is actually working with Trump. Because of this brilliant military plan that's going on behind the scenes.
In case anybody hasn't heard it, who is Q? Just in case anybody hasn't heard it.
Okay, Q or QAnon. Q is the highest level of clearance you can get in the country. It's above what's called eyes only or top secret, and intelligence. The Chan board, CHAN. There are Chan boards, bulletin boards online that are extremely secure, where you can post anonymously and they cannot trace you back. IP address, they can't trace you back. You can honestly post anonymously there and not worry about it. About of 2017 post, and they were extremely cryptic at first, more like military type of messages, but there was a few lines in there that we could know something was going on. They made connections pretty quickly. This Q person, they posted as Q anonymous. And anonymous. We have figured out since then, through many, many more posts since, that this person evidently is working extremely closely with the White House or persons. It's small group, very small group of people. And they verify that this has been on several ways. Now, there are just like people who for flat earth or whatever, who remain in their cognitive dissonance and think it's a left-right thing and it's all just a ploy of the right to destroy the left and his enemies. They don't realize it's the people that he's trying to destroy. And this has been explained in these passing months, what's going on, getting deeper and darker with what the people, one of the posts this week, I think sums it up well. He says, we haven't even gone there yet, really. It's not the exact words in the post, but he said, we haven't gone there yet with the deepest, darkest stuff. Pedophilia, satanic worship, and child trafficking, organ trafficking, and different things like that. They haven't even gotten there yet, but they're going to start dropping posts on that. said was, who do you trust most? And he made a reference to, if you are religious, pray. And then he made a separate pray and pray, P-R-A-Y versus P-R-E-Y. Or pray, the pray of the head of the church. Connections there, but I think also Protestant as well. So both the clergy and the Vatican, whatever, and also I believe the FBI, because they were also mentioned in the post. The FBI evidently, for those overseas, that's the highest federal law enforcement, which has always had a high reputation in the United States as being nonpartisan. One, they actually had blind justice and they just followed the facts. Well, that's been totally corrupted and no longer the case from the top anyway, and probably many of the people below. There's a lot of apologists saying, yeah, the local field agents are good. Well, if the local field agents are good, why are they following these dastardly deeds? That wasn't a good excuse at Nuremberg. It just wasn't. So I think there's a few good agents, probably not even working anything that has to do with politics, but they've covered up so many crimes of the elite. They expected Hillary to lose, and now all this is coming up. And if you follow even the mainstream media now, and you see how there's panic in Washington, they're begging for this undisclosed memo not to be, because it's going to reveal how deep and harsh and sick the corruption is. And I believe it goes all the way up to the vice president was involved. I believe in a pedophilia ring. Again, everybody's innocent, proven guilty. That was between the states of Minnesota, Indiana, whom Pence was the governor of Indiana, and Florida. I'm not quite sure what Minnesota's connection is, but Indiana stored all the data, and evidently a lot of the bigwigs went through Indiana to get children who were abducted for whatever sexual or satanic purposes they wanted. And Florida was the place where they would capture them. This is where we have, is it Disneyland? Disney World. Disneyland, I think. Whatever Disney it is down there. Up them there. And of course, child protection services we have. They would, people would come. This thing where child services knew they would never go back to the parents. Just disappearing. They'd never go into a new family, which they were supposed to. They were just disappearing. And evidently the elite were using them for their purposes. So sick stuff that's getting ready to be exposed. And when you expose that kind of sickness, where people are doing this, in my language, to kids, and I know people don't want to hear this, but you better wake up, and you're going to be hearing it very soon. Not soon enough, though. And there's this all bullshit about we need to deal 40% of it because we can't handle this other 60%. Bullshit again. I know exactly what's going on. If you can't shine a light on it, it will continue. And because they've covered up their own tracks, this has been allowed to get up to the highest levels in government, to the point where they were ready to take over the whole world with this enslavement system. And that's because nobody was holding their feet to the fire for disclosure, blind trust of government leaders, somebody in the White House, and thank God the military. It's not Trump. The military intelligence and the military, I believe in this country, but I believe in the UK and a lot of the English-speaking countries in particular, but other countries as well, have banded together to get rid of this BS so that the people of the world can be free of the satanic lay on all of us full force. We've known it's there. Those who are awake know it's there, but it's been under the ground for it. You have to go to alternative media to find it. And these people that are against us, notice that we were talking about the memo, and we were talking about a lot of these things days before the mainstream media picked it up. So we are now ahead of the mainstream media by far, and the mainstream media is part of it. In fact, they are the strongest leg left. That's why, it's all about communication and keeping us in the dark so that we don't know. And the mainstream media, 100% controlled by the CIA and corporations for their corporate interests. They've kept technology from us, free energy, technologies to cure cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, in us, AIDS. It's all coming out. All these horrendous diseases of mankind, many of them have been created by them. eugenics, all the things tie in. The last time I was on, we had that map, and there's other maps that I didn't even go into. The tie-ins are nuts. And there was a release recently this week where there was another map, and it had pictures. It had like Obama and Clinton and McCain, Republican and Democrat. It's no two sides, guys. It's all one. How many people have been saying that forever? That they've given us this Hegelian dialect, right? Conservative versus liberal, Democrat versus Republican. That's not it at all. They've always been on the same team. I even think the United States and Russia have always been on the same team. Because Russia is so criticized and demonized right now, most people haven't woken up and realized the Soviet Union's gone. They are a republic like we are. And they have a man who is a Christian leading them and trying to get them back to Christian values. Someone is demonized as much as Putin and Russia, and God forbid any connections with Russia, along with Trump, who everybody in the elite structure is against. Everybody. That should be a clue to people, but it's not. They just think he's this buffoon who is a sexist rapist. Calls Mexicans rapists, homophobic. That's all. When you go back and look, the people that actually looked at the source of all those things, he didn't do any of those things. They were twisted and contorted. Elect him because it rose up the indignation of the people that were paying attention to realize that, hey, if they're going that far, there must be something good there. That's the only reason why I went out and voted. I had no intention of voting this time. The last time I voted was for Ron Paul, and when he didn't get in, I was like, well, done with it. But when I started getting the ink, something was not right with every elite structure, Democrat and the media being against Trump. I thought, well, maybe I'll take a chance that he is actually working against the globalists. I know Clinton was. That was a guarantee. So why not take the gamble? So I did vote for Trump. Ideologically, that's for sure. There's a lot of things I don't agree with him ideologically, but he's not an ideologue anyway.
You just didn't want Hillary.
She's a satanic witch bitch, is what she is. And when you find out her crimes, the public is going to have to be, they're going to have to turn from the public. She'll face a firing squad or hanging. That's my prediction. If the good side takes over.
Really?
Absolutely. I'm convinced. Obama also.
Really?
Treason at some point or another. Yes. Obama just got lawyers. He got 9 lawyers at a firm called Wilkins and something. A lot of people said 9 worldwide. And the Q post, it said, by the way, so this is breaking news. Obama lawyered up. This is 9/WW. A lot of people said 9 lawyers worldwide, but no, there's a powerful Washington law firm, and it's called Wilkins and something, Wilkins and Wilshire or something like that. And that's who I'm pretty sure that's who he got as his attorney. All the bigwigs were getting attorneys. The director of the FBI, former director, who's another traitor, the one who let Hillary off, escaped me, probably because I can't stand his guts. They're all getting lawyers right now. And surprising is you have this lifetime Comey. That's who I couldn't think of. You have these lifetime FBI agents making maybe $150,000 a year, hiring multi-million-dollar lawyers. How is that even possible? So what are they into that's gotten them so rich? That's the thing. Everybody in politics, and they end up with millionaire mansions, millionaire lives, places on private islands. It's just crazy. Good versus evil, and I think it comes to a head on January 30th.
So what's all this bit with these messages going out to Hawaii and that then? Because I went to see my son today, and my son understands about flat earth. His wife's not so keen, but she knows there's something really wrong. She was saying that even she couldn't believe it, that Trump said nothing.
We got a post was going to be that was right. I believe the deep state orchestrated what was going on in Hawaii, and if they were to reveal it right now, there would be a public outcry to know all the details down the line. And I think if it was done right now, it would endanger the process of running, because all that would come out.
Quiet at the moment, then he's just going to stay quite quiet at the moment.
We've gotten a promise that much of this is going to be revealed 31st this month.
Okay.
So we won't have long to wait. People should, even mainstream, say, when's the last time you saw this happening in Washington where people are screaming, don't release this memo, don't let the public know. And now you have one party, there's nothing in that memo that matters, whatever. Don't pay attention to it. The American people can't see. It's just propaganda. But yet now that side, the left, supposedly coming out with a memo to counter the memo that they say isn't important enough to even pay attention to, and yet they're drafting their own memo to counter it. So that's not really not a big thing now. To me, the big thing is these texts that are going to prove that government, including Hillary Clinton after the election, were plotting to overthrow Trump, failing over and over and over. To me, that's a sign of divine protection, but that could be divine protection to bring us to a point in time. That's what worries me. If anything, part of this worries me. Part of me, there's this great hope. You know what? On both sides, there's great hope. If the biblical narrative is it won't be long before my Creator. If it's not playing out right now, I do think the deep state will go down, and we'll have a period of time where there's a passage in the Bible that says, and this gospel shall be preached in all the nations as a witness. Converted, but just as a witness. But the key there is this gospel. And I'm sorry, but you're getting your gospel from the Pope. Gospel, that's not this gospel. But the gospel, when that goes throughout all the world, that's when the end. Buddy, how you doing? I don't think he can hear us yet. We got somebody.
Jay.
Somebody just join us? No, there you are. Okay.
Joined us.
You just shared. Okay.
Just said hello to you.
So anyway, that's where we are. And I wanted to talk to you, by the way, about some of your word breakdowns. I have some questions.
Can I
etymology and things like that. I'm sorry.
This is a personal thing. If you don't want me to talk about it, you can say. But I always found it really hard years ago with Clinton and Monica Lewinsky that all that money was spent on that dress, right? Much more than the 9/11 Commission, and then Hillary swore that her husband was innocent. She lied to the whole country under oath.
Science.
I mean, how did he get after that? Like, you know, when you're an ex-president, you get money, don't you, for being an ex-president, and you get status and whatever. How come he kept all his after lying to the nation so many years later, but that she lied under oath then? Because she knew he'd been unfaithful or whatever he'd done. But that's just my personal thing. I don't know if you just
hasn't been. They're not responsible to the public. They're accountable to the deep state. There's one of the biggest deep state controlling agencies called the Council on Foreign Relations, and there is a public. Hillary Clinton went to this when she was Secretary of State, and she said in her address to them, I came here so that I can see what my marching orders are for this year. Private organization taking their advice, saying, okay, this is what the New World Order wants, you better do it. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to hear what I'm supposed to do now to the New World Order. So she's not responsible to the people. And even in her private things that came out in these released emails, she has nothing but contempt for all the American people. And the people she's supposed to represent, the people that vote on the left are so hoodwinked. And yet behind the scenes, they put policies in place to keep minorities down so that they can't advance economically and get out of their situation. the fighters for them, and yet nothing ever comes for them. Right example, black unemployment has dropped significantly, and supposedly it's lowest since it's been kept. I don't know if that's really true or not. But I think you have people that actually are wanting to go for the people now, and that's what the deep state doesn't want. But that's why she was never held accountable. So these people are enriched to keep doing what they wanted.
Is it also?
It was just a show.
Is it also that lately the people that keep getting in? I mean, even what was he called? Oh my goodness, I can't remember what he's called now. That's bad, isn't it? They're like attorneys already. They're solicitors and attorneys. They know how to do the law in the first place, don't they?
I'm sorry, the last part of that, Karen?
Well, you know, like Clinton, she's a, what is she? She's a not a barrister. She's in the legal profession anyway. So they already know how to. Blair, he was like a barrister or something. They already know how to use the law, don't they?
Yes. Well, you know, I've been studying the Constitution again, and I'm not 100% sure of this, but it looks to me like those who are members of the bar are supposed to be in Congress. They're not supposed to be the president. They're supposed to be office. Now, I'm not 100% sure of that, but that's the way I've read it. So I got to go back and check that. So you got a whole lot of things that have been, that's what I talked about last week. The original Constitution was done away with anyway, restored, not publicly yet. And that's supposedly what's going on right now with the military and Trump and all that.
In case anybody hasn't heard in this chat room or hasn't been following you, what do you think is going to happen then?
Two scenarios. And I don't see a third, but you know, who knows? Maybe we would have a third. In time to me is January 30th, 31st. Tipping point one way or the other. If Trump gets up there on the 30th and in his speech starts to state, or if you notice that Pence is not standing behind him, but Trey Gowdy, he doesn't say anything in the State of the Union, and you might get a hint of something going down. What usually happens on the State of the Union, the president releases his speech to the press and everybody in Congress a few hours before he actually gives it so they can go over it. That doesn't happen this time. That's a sign too, early on, if they start complaining. I don't know why the White House hasn't sent us our speech. A sign, also an early sign that something big in that speech is going to be released. Posts, which again were verified by Trump in his tweet exactly 22 minutes later, which in Q said 22 minutes. 22 minutes exactly later, Trump tweets. Confirmed that this is really true. That's done like 7 or 8 times now, or 9. How many evidences do people need besides about days in advance that then come true? I went back and looked at the post last time that I guess you know in the UK about the Rothschild estate helicopter and plane crash. That's Q posted fly Roths, R-O-T-H-S, fly Roths fly. So that was an indication of that. So there's been so many that have come out. The missing missile in Hawaii, and people just, they want to believe this, that the military can accidentally trip NORAD into action, which is the national defense against incoming ballistic missiles. You know, clicking on a mouse thing and clicking the wrong thing off a menu. The very fact that the people of the world buy that tells me that they are so uneducated with reality that something has to change, because we'll go into our own dark ages from collapse of learning everything we need to know now. I see a big dichotomy anyway. You know, everybody with their devices. Most of the people are into, you know, I'll go every now and then to YouTube to see what's the highest trending. And I don't know if it's true or not, if they're just, but it's the stupidest, dumbest, dumbed down stuff that you could ever want to see is trending. And you look at the views, it's like 10 million views, and it has something to do with some silly, I don't know, woman taking her top off or whatever it is. people have their, and the more and more they gravitate towards that, the less reality. And so they cause us to go into our own mental dark age. Really not caring, but not having any kind of information can have a righteous indignation and stand up against tyranny. Because everybody have been lulled to sleep through whatever. Everybody's let this happen. Like you said, Monica Lewinsky, he should have been, they impeached him. Yes, the House of Representatives did. But because enough members in the Senate, they would not oust him from office. What was his penalty? He can no longer be a lawyer. His penalty. Big deal. Okay, this last year, he got $1 million check. Or from, now we now know, Uranium One Connections. I would love to get $1 million check on my birthday, wouldn't you?
It just seems all wrong, but it's been wrong for rather a long time, hasn't it? So
anyway, the singular point in time that I keep coming to for many different reasons, all point to January 30th. Actually, they point to January 28th to about February, but 30th and 31st in particular for many things. I told you before, I've done a lot of Daniel studies, timelines, things that trigger timeline in Daniel. They all culminate to me January 31st. And January 31st, we have a super blood blue moon seen through Ephraim and Manasseh and Israel. And that's Israel and the Jews, both will see that as a sign. That will complete, if this is the time, we had the solar eclipse last August. That's the sun will be darkened and the moon will turn into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord. We had the sun darken in August. No blood moon since then until this January 31st. And it starts, I believe, 2 or 3 hours after Trump's speech. It's about that moon, too, that's unusual. I can't remember what it is. But there's, it's like it's a super moon. It's a blue moon, means it's the second full moon in January. It's eclipse, so that's why it's a blood moon. And there's something else, but it's like you can't make up the impossibility of that happening. And all that happens 120 days after September 23rd, sign in the heavens. 120 is a big, significant thing with the Bible. 40 days after the abomination event took place in the United Nations on December 21st. From some other event that happened. I think that's when happened there. Obama did something before the United Nations concerning Israel. But it all culminated, all these timelines, all down and almost like a Fibonacci little process down to January 30th, 31st, right in here. It's very close to like a midnight 31st back and forth. So I really think we're coming to this. I don't want to make a pyramid sign, but we're coming to this point. It is a tipping point in our history. We're either going to get rid of this darkness for a period of time, maybe so that this gospel can go into all the world. And that isn't going to happen by any of the countries other than the West. I'm sorry. It just isn't. Are. So we're either going to have a bushel basket put on top of that, it's put out for a period of time before we do come to the final tipping point. And I don't know which one it is, but change. We're going to know, I think, sometime next week which way it's falling. I don't think there's going to be any doubt. We're not going to know if any of this lead up is true or false. And I got to tell you one thing that's scary that I picked up from a couple different sources. Evidently, are with us off of our coast in anticipation of these from North Korea and other rogue states who are part of the deep dark side. And I can't help wonder if submarines there, if some submarines can't just be in amongst them and off. Again, these people have enriched themselves beyond all means. The power and the richness these not only blue bloods but the dark side have, but is they're on the precipice of losing all of it at once. If you go and examine the dark side, which I hadn't until recently because I didn't have any need to, But they have stated, we will burn it all down before we go down. Rather just, well, they're satanic. What do you expect? I think we are. We're at a time where it's more serious than any other time in the history of mankind, I believe.
I've got a couple of things for you, Rich.
Okay.
You said on, I think, the last hangout that the 21st of December, martial law coming.
Technically, yes. We have a state of emergency as of December 21st. Why is the media not reporting on that? That should tell you something there. Go and read Trump's executive order, December 21st. My understanding is he's signed a couple since then. I haven't even had time to look at those that are also on the same thing. This executive order gives them the ability to freeze funds and go after corruption, human trafficking, that type of thing. You have to go and read the executive order. But it declares a state of emergency. Too, if there's, it allows him to do a lot of things. He can't use what I explained last time, posse comitatus, where the military actually can be in the streets enforcing whatever, but they can assist civilian. Allows him to do that, and I believe it also gives him more powers over the National Guard units of the states, or allows him to communicate with the governors of the states to be able to do these things. But the problem with the governors of the states is you have a lot of deep state governors, including Mike Pence, evidently, when he was in governor of Indiana, on that side. So who knows what side they'd have them fight on. But I can tell you, people, patriotic Americans are usually in those type of things. So for Americans who may be worried about that, 10% of the people in the military or National Guard would actually go after civilians. They won't obey an order that goes against the people because they are sworn not to. The deep state has. They have military generals and admirals of them who are very patriotic and will not do those things. This is how, last time I was on, I mentioned that Obama got rid of a lot of generals and things like that. I have since learned that he got rid of more generals and high-ranking military officials than any other president, probably in history combined, on his watch. And what he did was he would give them unlawful orders, carry it out, then he fired them. That's how he knew if they were patriots or not. And it was a test. He might have told them, you must. And if they didn't start going through the processes, they were, because he was like, no, that's not a lawful order, sir. I can't do that. They were like, okay, you go on. All that, and was starting to put his own in. But we had, again, I'll state it again, if we do tip to the good side, one of the greatest American heroes will be Admiral Rogers, who went to Trump on the 17th of November, the election was the 8th, and told him that the Obama administration and the entire deep state had him and his entire family bugged. The very next day, Trump had his headquarters at that time in Trump Tower in New York. The very next day, the entire Trump team left there and went to one of his golf courses in New Jersey, and that's where they ran the rest of the transition. When he got into office, the first thing they did was absolutely gut the White House. My understanding is down to the rafters, and found all kind of bugs and listening devices and all kind of deep state intrusions, and that had to get rid of that. This is why there were so many things that make sense now that didn't. Then I was like, why is he doing all this first? And I had my suspicions, but it was like, that's not my decorative style, and it's been a long time since this has been done. But that's what they were doing. We know this now. And it was like, why is he always in this one particular room when he's doing things? Because I think they discovered there was one safe room that wasn't bugged and things like that. It's probably where Obama was. He knew where to go. So anyway, Trump also got rid of all this Muslim crap that was all over the White House. There was even prayer rugs and prayer shawls, whatever they call them, all over the place so that they could kneel at the appropriate times of the day to bow to Mecca. Meanwhile, he's going out acting like he's a Christian. And people just, they just didn't know what was going on. Obama would go to places like he went to I think it was Notre Dame College, which is the Catholic college, and the Catholics have a lot of symbolism and crosses and things like that. Well, when Obama would speak, you'd notice in the background that something's covered up. Well, he had his staff cover up any Christian symbol, always had. But people still think he's a Christian, even though he came out when he was being elected. This is how dumb the people are, Karen and everybody else listening. When he was running for president against John McCain, oh my God, talk about lose-lose. Anyway, the deep state had no problems with that, no matter who won. But I think Obama was more on their. I think McCain wanted to get into war too fast. I think that's the difference there. Although Obama bombed several nations, I think he wanted to just, hey, let's do the whole world thing right now, and it wasn't quite ready yet. Obama edged him out, but he was being interviewed by a friendly ABC newscaster. I think George Papadopoulos. Something like that. Anyway, he said to ask about McCain and asking religious questions or whatever, and Obama said, "Yeah, right. McCain hasn't asked me about my Muslim faith." Friendly ABC guy, you mean your Christian faith? Oh yeah, my Christian faith. And nobody said anything about it. Name me one Christian who would ever accidentally say my Muslim faith. Not one. Oh, he pronounced what he was. He's not rich. You're stupid. Well, now we know. All that's going to come out. His name's Barry Soetoro. We've known that. The birth certificate that he provided has 9 different points of forgery that was proved by Sheriff Arpaio here in Arizona. None of the media would cover it, not outside the local area. I watched it because I'm here in Arizona, and that's where that sheriff is from. He and this one other guy did a beautiful presentation. You can find it online, where they proved absolutely without a shadow of a doubt 9 points of forgery in his birth certificate. Not one mainstream media would cover it. So all these things, they're either going to come out, or maybe the church is taken to a place of safety. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm convinced we're at a tipping point. To me, it's exciting times. It's a good time to be alive, because I think if you're on the good side, wherever we are a week from now, we're going to realize we're in a better place either way.
Did you see, you mentioned something in one of your videos about the 19th of January, and it said something about will never be forgotten or something, or this is the start or something. And I told you what, I sent you a bit about what 19 meant. It meant the end and the beginning. And synchronicity. I found it. Like I looked it up. I asked Jay for some words, but I looked it up, and it said the way the numbers are, it's the end and the beginning all in one. And it was just what you were saying for that date of the 19th.
Yeah, and we still don't know the details of that. That's also some research there. That's what we were told. This day will go down in history, January 19th, 2018.
Yeah, and that's what those letters, that's what those numbers mean. The end and the beginning.
Well, if I wasn't looking into all this, and I might be insane anyway, who knows? Because this stuff will make you insane. Looking at some of this deep, dark stuff that they've been doing, you have to stop. You can't, anybody on the good side cannot just keep looking at it and going deeper and deeper without just having your emotions so ripped apart. You just have to stop. If I wasn't looking at this, I wouldn't think anything was coming up this coming week, but I'm convinced it is. Again, maybe the 31st will come and go, and there's no new revelations, no different things, and we'll just have to go in life. And I will have gone out on a limb that has broken, but I don't think so.
So, but you see this as all positive. You don't see it, because I mean, my bottom of my stomach's going round and round, which means I don't feel it's going to be very good, but you feel it's positive.
I think either way it's positive. I've run all scenarios in my mind to the end. The only way it's not a positive is if you are on that dark side. If you're a Christian in particular, this is a very good thing. Either going to have a reprieve time, the gospel, the real gospel, we'll be able to go throughout the whole world, and we'll have new prosperity for a time, but for a time, use a new revitalization of freedom around the world and things like that until there's another state to take back over. Because they're not going to just, You can't round up hundreds of thousands of people. You just logistically can't do it. So there's going to be some out there, if the good side wins, that are going to eventually reform. It tells us also that the enemy will come from within. That'll take you down. The enemy has come in from within, and we're fighting, or they are. And us talking about it is helping to fight. It's helping to get the information out. So I guarantee somebody watching this right now will be less freaked out when crap starts hitting the fan. It's all going to end on the good side, folks, one way or the other. Either taking it out of here, to safety, or we won't have to be taken out. The dark side wins, we'll be taken out, I'm convinced. We'll be taken out and not have to suffer through them. We've suffered enough. And regulation and economic depravity, sickness and disease, pollution, on all this stuff that could be eradicated, the release of probably half a dozen patents. Oh, here's the big thing too. Guess what? Clinton is a patent attorney. The patent that connects, my understanding is several things, not only the Internet of all things, but she has access to the patent that it moves. Think of anything that moves: trains, planes, automobiles, buses. There's a chip in everything that moves now, and each one is individualized, and you can make that a kill switch anytime you want. This is how she's been able to have so many hundreds of people that were just getting ready to, of the Clinton, suddenly be in a car crash or be in a plane crash. The one person who could really say if Obama's birth certificate really came from Hawaii was this woman. Her name is me for the moment. She was in the State Department in Hawaii, but she had access to the health records. And it goes back to this group called Sobaka, Muslim offshoot, that Barack Obama's mom belonged to. They both belong to this cult. It's a small cult around the world. They both belong to it. All of a sudden, she's assigned to extract the birth certificate in Hawaii. So she's the only one that knows that this is fake or not. You always have to take out the person that does the crime, like to be taken out because they accused him as a patsy of doing the crime against Kennedy. We now know from the JFK files released that he was part of CIA and that there were two shooters. Media won't touch that, but it's been released. This is not conspiracy theory. This is fact. A conspiracy is two or more people working together, usually to do evil, break the law. This has been confirmed now. All these conspiracy theories, which the CIA even put that term out there to make us look like tinfoil hatters if we try to even look at these things, have been confirmed with the Kennedy thing. But the mainstream won't report on it months ago. But anyway, Loretta Fuddy is the name of this woman in Hawaii. Airplane crashes. And then you have somebody with the phone, and they're actually like doing kumbaya. They're singing songs. They're like floating with their life and waiting to be picked up. And then they got picked up, and guess what? The plane crash. Well, they showed them they're singing with everybody else. What the hell happened? Nobody questions it. So this is the information that is known. Oh, the latest Q. Well, this has been throughout, where Q says, to the deep side, we hear all, we see all. And one of the recent posts said, we hear you breathing. So if you wonder why Trump is always 3 or 4 or 5 steps ahead of the game and trolls them all the way, it's because he knows, because they've turned their own devices on them. This NSA spying, whatever. The spying on Trump, here's how it works. If they spied on Trump and one of his friends, a transition. Well, they grab the phone of his friends. They grab all the contacts off. And then they say, we're legally allowed to look at that. And then they go after all those and say, oh, We grab their phone contacts. Before you know it, 100. My understanding is 151 million Americans are caught up in this. You have this thing where there's no more than 6 degrees of separation. Well, that was proved. This is how Q post every single thing any of us have ever put on electronically or used here. Even if we deleted it, it's all there. Nothing is missing. Not one little bit of data is missing. It's all captured. And so this is what's entrapping because they allowed it to happen. Invasion of privacy. Our Fourth Amendment to the Constitution prohibits it. Illegal the whole time. Oh, and the letters I couldn't think of the other day, somebody sent it, and I can't remember it again, but it's the British intelligence. Now, again, let me repeat, this is how Obama was doing it, how he got around our FISA courts, the Foreign Intelligence Agency courts, to where we're supposedly just Americans, but only foreigners. But if you're American talking to that foreigner, you can be captured into it. That's where they went off the law, so to speak, and let all this happen. But early on, when they couldn't get FISA approval to go against Trump, just in case he won, they used British intelligence. British intelligence doesn't have that law, so they spied on Americans for them. Now, Q posted yesterday that meeting with British Prime Minister Theresa May was very important. After another sentence where he said it was very important, and I first hit on bilateral. That there was bilateral negotiations because the New World Order doesn't like bilateral. They want nations here to join together. The globalist thing. So the bottom line there is, I really think it is. When he said, we are cooperating and things, I looked at it and there was something about intelligence in his tweet. I was like, oh, she's giving him all the goods on what Obama was doing. She's turning over all that the British captured for. Technically, Obama didn't illegally do anything because the British spied on these people. See how they do? She's evidently cooperating. So that's why all of a sudden now they have a nice, warm fuzzy relationship again. So that ties that part together too. So is tiptoeing on tulips right now. All these world leaders, Trump is trolling them all in advance. I really thought they would get him to become a globalist. In fact, he sent out people in his administration ahead of time saying Trump's ready to become a globalist now. He's going to play ball. And it's all BS. It's just to get them off their guard, to help them not prepare. He's doing military tactics is what he's doing. Far from a buffoon. Far. It's a genius even to be able to see the genius of the plan. And it's playing out before our eyes. And one of them said yesterday or the day before in the Q post was something like, don't be fooled because you don't see things happening on the street, that things aren't happening. Things are happening behind the scenes. Never seen, even in Watergate days, I never saw Washington act like this, where they're literally faces. You have this idiot, Adam Schiff, who's a congressman from California. He's the normal talking point for the left that comes on the Sunday talk shows. He looks like he's seen a ghost. I mean, he is timid and backed off. And Schumer, same way, Senate leader. Totally different people than they were a few weeks ago. Something's going down and they know it, or is about to go down. And when they release those texts in particular, it's going to show a coup d'etat in progress. Trump. And this conjecture, because this came out in a Q post yesterday, asked Q, why didn't Hillary Clinton give a concession speech? That did not give a concession speech. And the last person I can remember that didn't give a concession speech was a lot of people go back to Al Gore, but I don't think that's right. I think John Kerry didn't give a concession speech in 2004. I could be wrong. And I think what it was is together, evidently it was 7 of them. 7 people got together, do something, and Hillary Clinton was hoping that would happen and she could walk into the presidency. I don't know what that was, but whatever that was, they couldn't do for whatever reason. Probably the military advisors blocked them. So what did they do? Then they went to this weird, stupid count of 3 different states by Jill Stein, of all people, someone who got like 2/10 of the, or at most 2% of the votes in any one of these states. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. There was a 4th state, I think, that maybe they did or tried, but those 3 in particular. But the thing too, military intelligence went to Trump in advance before they even came up on the election cycle, and they had people in specific places in these states push through only to have paper ballots, no machines, because the machines are controlled by George Soros. They're in them and things like that, so they can throw the election. So in those 3 states, they had paper ballots, so they couldn't do anything, but they tried. They had the recount in those 3 states. It showed the exact same results. In fact, I think Trump's went up a little bit. So that failed. Then it was the Electoral College members. For those who don't know how it works, we elect electors, individuals in a state. I could be an elector who pledges, hey, if my state says it's Trump, I need to go to Washington on December 7th, I think it was, and say Trump. Faithless electors. They even had actors in Hollywood coming on television. If you're an elector, we encourage you to change your mind. Vote for anyone. Any other person will work. Idiots. So they try to get Americans to become faithful electors. The funny thing is, the only person that really lost electors was Hillary Clinton. They got 2 to defect in Washington state. So her total actually went down from election night, and Trump's didn't. But Trump actually, I think, lost 2 or 3 through their efforts. In any case, he had well over the 270. He had over 300. That failed. Something else they tried before he got in. I can't remember what it was. I'm forgetting something that was going on.
What's the significance of him actually being with Theresa May for? What do you think that's about?
You mean, is Theresa May on the good side or not?
Well, he didn't. You just said he's had meetings with her. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yesterday.
What do you think the significance of that is then?
I think, again, it's my opinion, but it's an educated one, is that, are you familiar with the term turn somebody? There's a series on television right now where it's called Turn, Washington Spies, where they get people that were for the British to turn against the British. For whatever way, sometimes the British would come in and burn their house down. They would turn and become a patriot and say, no, we need to drive the British out. Well, that's a very strong military tactic. If you can take somebody on the dark side or your enemy and turn them to your side. I think yesterday, Theresa May turned. That's what I think happened. And that's why I think this is very, 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 very important. And her act of showing that she turned was she turned over, better word, information on the illegal activities of the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton to support this coup against a duly elected president of the United States. In my opinion.
So what do you think we had then? Or what do you think the UK had then? If they turned over this?
I haven't followed what's going on with Brexit, but something about Brexit came up in the Q post as well, I believe. Was that where I saw it? Q post, something about, or it was one of Trump's tweets, something about Brexit and you guys to actually push the button and do it, because the deep state, the globalists have been trying to delay it and keep you guys from doing it, convince you that it was a bad mistake and things like that. I haven't followed that, so I don't know if that's really the case. It came up too, where that's going to be changing very soon too, to the good side, where the people that voted for that, and I actually watched the election on that on Brexit. It seems like only the elite voted for it, the elite in Scotland. It was London, the city of London, very close suburbs there. They voted for it, but everybody else, a few little dots here and there, but really did want to leave. And it was close because the elite people around London wanted to keep it. That's how I read the election anyway. Surprised how leave was so widespread.
Yeah, but they brought in something without going to the people first. And UK's had to wait, what is it, over a decade or about a decade, whatever it is, being in Europe, in there like that. I mean, it's like a decade too late. What that vote was about was because none of us voted to be a part of Europe like that. They just took us in.
Absolutely. Shocked that it came vote. I really think Cameron down. I didn't think he thought Leave would win. Farage didn't even think it was going to win on election day. So they did the same thing they did here in the media. You couldn't find a poll that said Trump was going to win. It was going to be one of the biggest landslides in history for Hillary Clinton. It's disinformation to the max.
But
so I don't know where you guys are with Brexit, but evidently it's going to be.
The media's made a mistake the last few times, though. They said that here, that different people were going to get in, and they didn't. You know, the exit poll shows that, say this is going to win, but then the opposite wins at the end of the night.
Right.
Well, here as well.
I think that happened is you guys have, since you've been in the European Union, you've been greatly dependent on trade with the European Union. And I think made a deal to do a whole lot of bilateral trade so that you're not so dependent on Europe. And it's going to be a free and fair trade without all these regulations and tariffs and European taxes, which are globalist taxes. That's all they are. I think the tentacles are going to be cut there for you guys too.
Well, how do you think
as Q has said, this
Theresa May wanted to stay in Europe, and she's not.
I think she just turned.
Right.
Probably because they have something on her. They hear all. They know all. We know you're involved in this, and this. We'll let your people know, or you can help us out. Like many have. They said even in the Q post, even the Rothschilds are singing stuck pigs. Everything below it. The dark side Satanists, they turn you in a heartbeat if they think they can get one more day's worth of water in them. Singing like stuck pigs. It's come up several times in the Q post. When a bird sings, that has to do, I think, with Twitter too. I think there's double meaning there. But rated, and you think you have some sort of advantage, you'll start singing. You'll start talking about to you how the cabal's laid out and who's below me, and this is what's been on systematically. And there's 100% no doubt this is going on. It's just the mainstream media isn't talking about it, but you can search it. These child pornography, child trafficking, organ trafficking rings. It's 4,000 now have been cleaned up. They started at the bottom and they're moving up. They just got the state of Indiana's servers, so they're getting to the governments of the states now to take them out. It's been a systematic thing. It's been going on since actually day one in the Trump presidency, but it's been going on behind the scenes, and most people aren't paying attention. But we're getting to a culmination point where more of the underlings, because there's none of them left. It's the big wigs now that have to go down.
Right. Can I just explain that Devon's joined the panel? Devon, do you want to say hello to Thrive? Devon?
Yeah.
You did.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, Devon, how are you?
Been listening for a little while. All that stuff sounds pretty spot on. There's just a couple of things I wouldn't necessarily agree with. Like, there's been some questionable things that Trump has done in his administration, I've noticed, like with the whole bombing of Syria thing and a couple of executive orders. But overall, a lot of those agencies are being cleaned out, and there is change positively. So I'm just going to keep listening. I've been enjoying hearing you talk about it.
I appreciate that. But let me give my take on the Syria bombing. I thought that was almost off the Trump train, so to speak. But my information suggests that Russia made a deal to take out ISIS, and Trump said we want to hit this one area where we know there are in the rocks, so to speak. And there were a couple of reasons too. It wasn't just for that, but a lot of the places that were bombed were barren places. Nobody was there to start with. That was one thing. This was at a time when we were at the highest tensions with China and Korea when he first came in. That was one of those, I will do anything to protect the country, whatever thing. It was a stand up to leaders of China and North Korea and the deep state also. To let them know that he would unleash fire and fury. You've heard that many times with his administration. But I think most of it was just a feign. I don't think really many, if any, people were killed, other than if any ISIS people were hiding out in the cave, so to speak. Now, I didn't think that at first, but after other people reported on it, that hasn't come to the mainstream. I think it was just an ordeal to show that he was for real as far as military, willing to use military strength, but at the same time, not do this indiscriminate bombing that has been going on. And that's why Russia allowed it. You remember Russia under Obama said, one more time, you did this, that's the last time. We're not going to sit back for even one more time. And Putin said nothing. He had to play it along a little bit with the charade, but later on it was revealed supposedly, and I think this will come out, that he actually worked with Putin for several reasons to do that. I think Putin's been on our side the whole time. Administrations, he's been on our side, hoping we would finally get rid of this crap. Things that now, one of the executive orders, evidently, my understanding is, actually strips back the 702 FISA. He still needs it for a moment, but there's a lot of things that he stripped out and the power that they have now.
I think Morgan.
Got to use until.
Do you want to say something, Morgan? I mean, Devin. Devin, do you want?
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. Putin was definitely on our side. I mean, I actually think he's a pretty strong leader in his own way for his own country. He's done a lot of cleaning out of corruption in a lot of ways, and I think there's a lot of hate on him. But overall, I think politicians in general, even if they're in high places of power, there's potential for corruption, no matter how pure they might seem at first. So
yeah, absolutely. And there's a danger too. What if this is all successful, then he's left at the top? Always for dictatorship and things like that. Until we have the rule of Christ on the earth, there's not going to be perfection, that's for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I just wondered, because obviously on our panel tonight with you, Rich, there's two Americans. So Jay, do you want to say anything, or are you just listening?
Oh, I'd love to say some things. Yeah, no, it's amazing to hear that things are possibly looking up, because I do feel like, like my man Devin just said about corruption, that whenever we get into positions of power and we pretend to be the sun, or we use astrology against people, a bad result usually happens, and confusion and order through chaos. And I see a lot of chaos. And my issue is this, though. The chemtrails are concerning me a lot. You know what I mean? I mean, we all know they're out there doing their thing, blocking the sun. Have you heard anything in terms of Trump and what his thoughts are on chemtrails? I'd love to know your sources on that, for sure.
I don't know what his thoughts are, but I have thoughts. Therefore, I talked about wetware in one of my videos. Have you heard that term, wetware?
No.
Okay. You know what hardware is. You know what software is. Beings, think of us as transistors for the Internet of Things. If we have enough metal in us, we become aware, so that we can be transistorized. Track us anywhere in the world. We can never be off the tracking. But the big advantage is, oh, I want this. Your wall or whatever, something even in your imagination. They have it in classes now where you can have the internet or whatever. But this is you become part of human thing, where we become part of the Internet of Things. And just like you would track a shipment of to your house, you're tracked. There's a lot of tremendous advantages to where anything you want can be gotten at any time. You'll know where to find it. No longer do you need to carry around even these devices we have. Well, we will be plugged in. Everything now is plug in. Connect this to that. They're getting us there. Even what do they have now? They have a chip on them. Do you have the chip? So programming so that, there's nothing wrong with having a chip.
Right.
Just like I knew when I was in the Navy in 1980, overseas for a while, and when I came back, I noticed the currency was changed. It had different colors in it and different textures. And overseas money, we used to laugh at overseas money because it was different colors and different shapes and weird things. But when I got back, I was like, oh my gosh. And my brother, I never said this to my brother. My brother said, hey, have you noticed they're trying to make our currency look like the world's currencies? I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. So even back then, we were starting to put it together that they're trying to get us all used to a global currency. You all of a sudden would have seen and back then it was the lira or the franc or whatever, the German mark, whatever it was, and Americans. But now our money looks just like it. So if they come into an international currency, it won't look weird to anything. So that was a long-term thing, and it had to be because we use this every day. And now we're getting used to not using it. I can't even put cash in a Chase bank account. I'd say, hey, can you go to the bank, put $50 cash? They won't allow him to do it. They go and do it. So they're getting us used to not wanting to use cash. And at the same time, they're introducing the chip. And you can go back in history, even 10, 15 years ago, think about what was going on. They were getting us used to society, thinking a certain way in advance. LGBT thing. This was all telegraphed first in movies and entertainment. Things, especially entertainment, they introduced a lot of the American people to. And when you first saw it in trash TV, do you remember who was the guy? Jerry Springer with his trash TV. He got trailer trash people, so to speak, on there. And they would fight and do all kind of things. And the more outlandish they were, the better. Well, they were trying to get part of humanity to move in that direction, to normalize that behavior. And it's sick stuff, but I think all of this is headed towards total mind control and us chemtrails, us becoming wetware. There's a person that put this together very well. Lionel Nation is the name of the channel. He did his own thing on it, and who was actually working in the government or did in the government and said, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. You're right. They're turning us into transistors. We breathe the metal in. And not only that, but this metal's getting on the trees, the cars, the grass. And you can know where everything is. If you cut some grass and move it, they will know.
Well, they're killing the trees, right? Like, I showed you that cortex means bark of tree. This is slaughtering the druids all over again. Like, we are connected to nature. And I wanted to actually share something positive. I think that the most important thing with religions, especially with Islam and Christianity, is that we look at the things that connect. And I just wanted to share some references from the Bible. Can you all see that? Where it says 7 cows? Yeah. And the cows would be Taurus. And I want to share another picture quickly. It's very important. These things are really good to always see for our eyes, because mind control puts the eye somewhere where it doesn't need to be. Well, this is the Quran, 1246, and you see 7 fat cows again, yes or no? Can we see the cows?
It's very small on the screen.
Yeah.
But
can you see the cows in 7? Most of us?
I'll take your word that it's there.
No,
I'll take your word it's there.
Seven
fat cows.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're good. We're good. So my point is this. So, like, when we say like symbols and this and that and this kind of thing is this, there's a thing that we have to be familiarized with is astrology, and those cows are Taurus. We all make a Taurus field. All these politicians, they use words like tick, tick, time. All the goddesses have clocks. When you Google them, Venus, a very important constellation because she rules the bull. So they ride our brains. They get into our understanding of astrology. They know exactly how to puppeteer us. We have an optic, politic thalamus where the third eye is. And there's no coincidence, sodium fluoride, fast foods, all this music. We're in the planet of the apes or the apps, Darwinism, talking monkeys, making it cool. Like I was hearing what you were saying, and I was like, they're setting up this jungle, the concrete jungle, right?
Absolutely,
for us to basically,
it.
right, for us to not see the connections. I think that people, even in the truth movement, who might have a religion organized, I respect that. I think it's good to still look at connecting numbers, because the division with thousands of slaughtering, whatever, we know there's a lot of negative things associated with those things. So for me, what relieves me is seeing that there's a 7. Wow, so now my body can align with that because I have a 7 pH balance. So now I'm confident in myself that I can make a conscious choice to physically change this world with someone else who might know that, as opposed to like, this is what we do, that's what y'all do, but we're still kind of doing the truth thing. There's still a bit of division, I feel, even the truth movement with just certain things. So I like to sort of, syncing is really awesome. Putting numbers in numerology and also our bodies aligning with it, and how what the brain means, so that when we know that we're having poles, bipolar, 2 poles would be a crucifix. Pole positions, when you go to vote, you're in the pole, you have poles in your brain, you have points of energy. And all of this is sorcery. They're very accurate with the timing and when they do it. They organize a very perfect movie form structure of destruction. And it's like, it's a brilliant way to do it, because we're all conditioned to look down in our phones, like you said. You know, the 8-year-old girls, I'm seeing them in dance studios are twerking, being sexual, toddlers in tiaras. Do you know what I'm saying? They're inverting the goddess. It's sick stuff. And as a dance teacher, I have to go and watch dance studios, give them candy and sexual dances. And I'm trying to teach them about the 5 elements. And I'm like, you are a goddess. You are not but I respect the talent, but it's like we've lost our way, you know, in dance, art, especially musicians, actors, poets. All the people back in the ancient ones were poets. They were musicians. That's why they got whacked. The biggest thing that these
Can I interrupt you just for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to miss it. I don't know if this is where you were going, but the one other way I would describe this January 30th, 31 time period is the collective consciousness coming together to realize we are gods. Is one possibility I see. Control it, and we can control the outcome. And you're talking about these different ages, and even the Mayan age of 2012. Well, there's a Fibonacci and a pi. January 31st, even from that. All these things are culminating right now. We've gone into the age of Aquarius. Is judgment being poured out on the bad side? I don't know. Is that what I'm not into that much, but that's what I would say if I'm looking at it. Yeah. We've been to fish. We had to go to school, like fishing.
Yesterday I mentioned that. It was funny.
Oh, did you? And so now we've been taught and learned. Now it's time for higher education, which is not the group getting together, the higher consciousness, bringing in the God consciousness, if you want to be on the secular side of describing it. Different religions are coming together at an apex right now. All the prophecies, they're all the same.
Yep.
You know, it boils down to the same thing in the end. You might use different symbolism there. But we get there.
It's important to see it, though. You know, like when you see something with the eye, it's the window to the soul, and you're looking at a reflection of yourself. Like technology is from the brain. Like mind control, Fritz Springmeier has an amazing book about Illuminati mind control, and how these people can basically, sorcerers, can split the brain into computers, and each computer has a computer and a handler and a function, and they throw up their signs, and then they shut down and kill and do shit. So clearly, whatever is, battling us, it comes from a dimension that's not ours. And it understands, well, it's trying to, pardon me, it's trying to understand our brain, for sure. It's insane.
Just think what you were saying about the different parts of the brain, like different computers. And now if there's enough metal in us from the chemtrails, like that, and controlled is the big deal. So we all act as one wing, you know? We can all be moved and controlled just like they want.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that's why they've made us like stay inside, get on our phones, get on our computers? So they're sort of indirectly telling you to stay inside so they can put metal in the sky. Unfortunately, people go out, and then of course there's certain people where it's just going to be, it's going to affect more than others, isn't it?
That's true. It will affect more. If you're more outside, I would think it would affect you more. I don't know. I'll have to think that through. That's possible. I think they want us.
Stay inside.
I think they've
the sun's bad.
recognized.
Don't put your feet on the ground. Don't get your negative ions. Don't do this. Don't do that. And we're all inside watching the television.
Yeah, put chemical causing sunscreen on. Yeah, block the sun. Don't look at the sun. Yeah, keep you away from nature. But at the same time, when you go out in nature, you're these chemtrails. Now today, there's absolutely no chemtrails in Phoenix, but yesterday it was all over the place. I did notice the first 5 or 6 months of I barely, if ever, saw chemtrails, and then all of a sudden they came back with a fury. So this could also be dark versus light side, deep state versus not deep state, fighting back and forth, controlled for a while, not controlled, or maybe they were misdirected for a while. They had to pay their attention to getting him out or whatever. And then they told those people, just go back to chemtrail and we'll take care of it or whatever. I don't know. I'm speculating on so many things, but to me, it's a very exciting time right now. And
in the UK, we can't tell what's really going on because we've been so cloudy for so long. But can I just say that Matthew's joined us. Matthew in
Oregon, Washington, right?
Hello,
Sorry,
Matthew.
my phone's been like really weird. I clicked the screen, but it wouldn't like switch, so I can click the unmute button. And then when I tried to click it again, then it wanted to switch, so it switched back. Stupid glitch. Sorry. What's up?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Hello. Well, obviously, you've been
How's everybody
listening
doing?
a bit thanks. You've been listening a bit to hear what Mr. Thrive and Survive's been saying?
Yeah, actually, I've been listening to a little while. I'm just cleaning the house right now, and I've been listening in to what you guys been talking about.
What's your take on all this then?
Right now? I don't know. I guess I'm still... I have my own real honest personal opinion on it, and I'm still digging in on it. And to me personally, it's like I came to my understanding on my own through my research. So through my eyes, my understanding is only going to make sense to me because I know all the little bits and pieces that make sense to it. If I try to explain it to you guys without the full understanding of it myself and without fully grasping everything, then that means that you guys can get the wrong idea and not understand completely what I'm talking about because you guys don't know every little bit and piece and every little thing that I looked into in order for me to come to that conclusion. So, like, I'm still trying to put all the bits and pieces and parts together before I try to relay too much information on subjects that I'm not fully comprehended in.
It's a very wise stance.
Well, I don't want somebody to take. I don't want somebody to take my answer, which is my perceived notation on everything that's going on. My answer. I don't want somebody to take that and try to apply that to their life because my answer may be a different understanding to their life than it was to mine. You know what I mean? It's like I used an example not too long ago. Both of us standing face to face, we look down and see a number on the ground. We argue for days and for years and for the rest of our lives that I see 6 and you see 9. But in reality, we both see a number on the ground and we're arguing over the nature, over the number rather than the nature of the number. You know? So it's like I need to make sure that people come to their own understanding. Whatever I say, I don't want people to take it and just apply it. I want people to take it and research it and then understand it themselves, so that way they can apply their understanding and not apply my answer.
Well, if I should just take what you just said and put it on the, I'll get that to play in front of every one of my videos for all the trolls out there, or for the detractors for flat earth or whatever. Just will not do the research themselves to educate them. That shouldn't even allow these people to even make a comment. Become fools because they haven't, but yet they have come to a conclusion that not only is deceptive to themselves, but can be deceptive to others that read their stuff. So I highly respect what you're saying.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to your math teacher and saying, hey, what is 1 + 2 equal? And your teacher says 3, and you go out to the world and you just preach 3, but you don't preach the process or how it happened and why it happened,
Well, let me ask you, Matthew. So do you see something going on right now that's about to culminate?
Absolutely, 100%. Something's already technically happened. We have gone from the age of Pisces, the material mindset of man, and we are moving into the age of Aquarius. We're not in the age of Aquarius right now. It's not actually active. We are transitioning into that age. So just like between life and death, or technically between death and life, you die and you have a transitioning period, the astral period, before you are with life and whatnot. So that's the same thing between these eras. Just like the age of Taurus, the age of Aries, which Moses brought in when the Jews started blowing the horn, and all of a sudden Jesus came in with the New Testament, the new age, the age of Pisces, which is now represented by the fish. And the life of Jesus, you can tell by the way that it proceeded, because the life of Jesus was symbolized by the fish. And now we're at the end of the era where we only recognize the death of Jesus, which is the cross. I never see people talking about the fish anymore, talking about the life. It's always about the cross and the death. That's because we're at the end of the era of Pisces. We're going to transition into a new era. So me, technically, and this is what I mean by it's hard for me because I don't want to give my answer and have everybody come to the wrong conclusion of it because they don't understand. But to me, I believe that we're going to transition into a new period, and that transitioning calls for a new master, a new enlightened one to enlighten everybody and guide us into the new era, just like it's always happened. History will repeat itself. And even Jesus, technically, for the biblical people, even he said he'll come back, but not as Jesus. Because he said, I will return and usher in a new era, but not as Jesus, because it says that he'll have a crown upon his head and nobody knows the name of. So this will be a new person altogether, but the manifestation of the same entity, the same being that has been ushering in the new era in all ages. It's that enlightened one, the one that actually knows what's going on, the one that's able to tell us what to do and how to do it, the one that tries to demolish religion and all this faith-based mental mindset of man BS and try to help usher us into the new age. And now that we're out of the age of Pisces, which was a material age of passion and anger and emotion and just material mindset type stuff, and now we're moving into a spiritual age of Aquarius. So I think that man's going to come into a progression where it's no longer going to be all about a lot of the crap that we're dealing with now. Honestly, I think that man is actually about to go through a progressional and transitional stage into a literal spiritual awakening. And those of men who are still in the material mindset and don't want to change, they're going to be what Christians and everybody call left behind. They're going to be stuck in this mental state and they're never going to progress spiritually throughout their life. And when they die, when they go through the reincarnation process, when they die, they'll be materialized again because they don't have that spiritual mindset, meaning they'll bounce right off of that veil, that astral veil that protects the material from the spiritual. Because if you try to take man's material mind and influence the spiritual mind with it, it'll destroy that beauty of the spiritual mind. So there's a veil of protection in between them. And that's what I keep telling everybody, that if you're in a mental mindset, if you have a mental vibration about you, when you die, you'll bounce off that veil, come right back into the mental plane, and you'll be reincarnated. And at that, subconsciously, you won't have consciousness of it. So you don't get to choose who you reincarnate as. Whereas if you have that spirituality, now you have a conscious rendering of when you die. Now, all of a sudden, you get to go through that veil and choose where you go. That's where immortal life comes from. That's where Christ says, if you come to me, then you'll have everlasting life. Well, Christ is that consciousness. It's not literally, I can't go to a being out there and, bow down before him and praise my whole existence to them and have eternal life. No, it's coming to that consciousness, to that spiritual being that is Christ, that is that key to the veil. So if you're able to come to that key to the veil, which is Christ, the consciousness, then you'll have the everlasting life. You won't have to be reincarnated in the material and die again. You'll just, you'll continue as the spirit. That's my take.
Let me ask you one question, Matthew. Are you into or have you studied astral projection?
A long time ago, before I got religious, I was into astral projection pretty hardcore. Never got to project myself. I got to the stage where my whole body, you know how when your leg goes to sleep, it has that tingly feeling? It really annoying feeling that you just can't not think of. Well, apparently, when you astrally project, when you can force induce it and control it, your whole body lights up like that. It goes through that tingly feeling. You're supposed to push past it, and all of a sudden, it'll feel like you're falling out of your body. A lot of people experience that when they're sleeping. They'll jerk themselves up really quick because it feels like they'll feel like they're falling back. That's their consciousness actually falling out of their body right there. That's themselves unconsciously astrally projecting. They're about to dream, and when they jerk themselves up, they stop it. I got to the point where my whole body would light up and I'd feel like I'm falling backwards and I could never get past that. That was my block wall, which is good though, because if I tried doing this stuff, if I tried astrally projecting in the time that I did with the mindset and the mental state that I had, I would have destroyed and damned myself, because what you do is you leave your body open for anything to come into if you don't understand what you're doing and you don't get the full logistics of it. So now that I am where I am, I, in my mindset, understand a lot of, not all of it, but I understand a lot of the mechanics of it. And I will not be participating in that kind of stuff anymore because of how dangerous it truly is. Yeah, you can learn stuff overnight. You can literally learn languages overnight and do all sorts of incredible, beautiful stuff. But if you don't understand, you will damn yourself. That's some of the teachings that some of these people in the world that everybody wants to, call hellish and call these evil and people and whatnot. They sit there and they tell you, they're like, hey, look, you can practice this all you want, this kind of magic and whatnot. But if you do, you're going to damn yourself. Well, they're saying that because you don't have eyes that see and ears that hear. You don't know the meanings behind the symbols, and you don't get the logistics and the understanding and the emotion and the history behind all the symbols and the words and everything. So without knowing that, without having a grasp and a connection to that, you're saying things and speaking things that your spirit doesn't understand, and it's going to confuse and divide it, basically, because only your body is material. Your spirit's eternal. Your body's within the concepts of time, and your spirit is without concept. You're literally right now, you as a being are living in and out of time right now, because your spirit is eternal, but your body is material. And it's whichever one of those that you focus on more in your life is what you're going to be able to take. So if you focused on that material body your whole life, you made sure that you looking sexy and you vain and you looking good for your girlies, and you making sure that you're the most healthiest, most amazingly, medical, prodigy in the world, and nothing's wrong with you and your teeth are perfect and all that, then you've neglected your spirit. And your spirit's going to sit there and be like, well, bro, if you put, half as amount of time as you did up into that material mindset into me, you might be a little bit balanced, but you're not. See, and it's that balance too that's good, but that balance isn't going to push you into the next plane of existence, the next spiritual movement. You need to be spiritual purely. That's why God said, exit Babylon and leave your works so that way I can work through you. Literally, God doesn't want us anywhere near material whatsoever. That's the way that it works in the Bible. And this is just biblically speaking, he doesn't want us in that, because when we're in the material, like we are right now, going to work, I'm going to work and I'm leaving behind the stuff that I'm going to work for. You know, I spend my entire life out of the house that I'm going to work to pay for the house that I'm never in, but I'm at this work trying to pay for it. And it's just, you're in this, you know, it's basically a distraction from life. It's the elites keeping you in this material mindset. So that way you're forced into this material mindset. It's like, if I leave this material mindset and if I leave this material world in Babylon, it's scary because it means I have to fend for myself. And it means I can't go to the grocery store and just get food when I want. And I can't just go to my house and turn on the heater and get all this. Well, no, you can. You just got to do it in a specific succession of ways. And at that, if everybody did leave this and used a non-material mindset kind of capacity, you know, by trading with skill sets and stuff like that, like I've been saying, then it would be more spiritually focused. You'd have all the time in the world in the day to focus on your spirit and to focus on each other, helping each other. See, if I traded in skill rather than material currency, I will never lose. I can never go into debt. I can never owe because I will only gain. My skill will only get honed. It'll only get better. And I could only give that and give it and give it. And I could give my skill 100,000, 10 unlimited fold. And I will never lose it. I will never go into debt with it. And I can never be envied about it because my skill isn't, I don't have less skill or more skill than other people because skill is skill. It's just a difference on what skill it is. You know, a cook's skill is just important as the engineer's skill because without the engineer, the cook doesn't have his implements. But without the cook, the engineer doesn't live because he can't eat. So each skill is equal, you know, into each other. It's just based off of how you use it. So you can never, like material, even if we dropped the dollar and started using, you know, gold, it's like, well, this guy has more gold than me. So there's still a jealousy complex and there's still a division complex or any kind of other material possession. But if you go on a different route and use skill, then you're basically trading in spirit. And you can never lose your spirit because that's eternal.
I appreciate you answering that because when I study, I also got to the point where I think it was called vibration, where your body vibrates when you start getting that point. It starts at your legs and moves up. When I studied it, the person that started, one of the founders of astral projection anyway, he said that as he astral projected, he realized that you would go out, you couldn't get out. He didn't use the term veil like you did, but it meant the same thing. You could only go so far, and then you had to come back to the earth and do it again. And then you had to go out again and come back to the earth and do it again. And eventually you get out. And now to me, that's a nightmare. Reincarnation to me is a nightmare. To have to come back to this earth again, to me, is a nightmare. But I think you're right. If you have done the right spiritual stuff now, I mean, who knows if we lived before or whatever, if we had previous lives. I don't personally think I did, but I think there are those of us who have reached a certain consciousness will escape, for lack of better terms, the first time. But I do appreciate you saying that because that's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking about that stuff.
If you would have asked me that question a week ago, it would have been a completely different answer. I progress literally daily because of the people I talk to and the stuff I study. Daily, my mind is, you know, deepened.
No, we're told to renew it daily, right? Renew your mind daily.
There's a question that keeps coming up in the chat room, and I don't want to offend Judith because Judith's from Israel. But the question is, how do you feel about Trump siding with Israel or in with Israel?
That's a good question
that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Okay. Realize that there's...
Love you, Judith. Sorry, love you, Judith.
I like to say something before this, please. Trump visit Israel months ago, and he didn't bring me chocolate, and he didn't bring me flowers. What he bring me is 16 airplane, F-16, and, you know, present. He give me present, you see? And I didn't like this present because it's tell me prepare yourself to pay back for this present. As a grandmother, I don't like this present. Nothing is for free. You see? Yeah. It's okay. Continue.
No, I appreciate that. I'm thinking actually F-16. Why isn't he giving you F-18s or whatever? That's an old airplane. But anyway, that's sort of beside the point. Here's my take on that. From the things I've read and learned about Trump, he understands that there's a difference between the Kazakh Jews that run the world and the tribe of Judah. And the Kazakh Jews who run the world, including Benjamin Netanyahu, and you have to study his father to see where he's from. And the apple did not fall from the tree. I won't get into the deep part of that because I really can't go deep into it because I don't know it enough. Just like Matthew just said, I shouldn't go where I'm not deeply in there. But I do know that Benjamin Netanyahu is not, I don't think, on the good side at all. And I think Trump knows this. And this has come out in my mind in the Q post and things like that, that he knows there's a difference between Kazakh Jews and the tribe of Judah. And the tribe of Judah has been taken advantage of by the globalists who have set up the Kazakhis who run the world to have that cutout state Israel. And it has not been handed to the original people that had the land of Israel. But Trump is aware of this, and that's what he's working towards. But it just may not look like that for a while. That's my take on it, as deep as I can go.
I think that we gotta even if I had an absolute perfect understanding of what I'm saying and I wanted to teach people about it, I kind of have to be careful about that too, because you can say something and teach something and do good with it, but if somebody takes that without their own understanding, right? If they take that and they put it into use in a bad way, not only do they get reprimanded and consequence from it, but now karma is on you, because that would have never happened if you hadn't ever, projected your knowledge and your sense of something onto somebody else. So on specific subjects, specific things, I could actually understand and see now why they're not public knowledge, why certain, secret societies or whatever, they say you need to go find the knowledge on your own. We can't just tell you everything, because if we do and you take that answer and try to understand it with your understanding of your own without really knowing, it can be turned bad. And if you do something with good intentions and it's turned bad, it's still bad no matter what. That's why people of the great wise ones of the past and whatnot, they fully took years and years and years of contemplation before they ever even came out and uttered some words, came out and started to teach or do anything like that. They hermitized themselves out of existence in society. So that way they couldn't be manipulated, and their ideals couldn't be, pushed around and changed based off of other things. It was purely their understanding that they came to, it's another one of those understanding, those things that I'm coming to, and I'm starting to realize. And I'm not going to stop sharing knowledge and stuff like that to a certain extent. But at the same time, when it comes to my understanding of certain things, I've got to keep that as my understanding. And even when I tell people that, I got to let them know, hey, this is how I understand it. And you can take that and retain it, but don't put it to practice, please, until you understand it in your own way, because I don't want you reliving my life. This is my life. This is my experience for me. This is how I'm coming to my realization. This is how I'm going to ascend into my spiritual self. It's not your path. We all have a different path. We all have a different gene code. We all have a different thumbprint. I have a different path from everybody else. So this is my progress. So now if you want to look at my progress and find a lesson within it, and then understand it yourself and then apply it, excellent. Absolutely beautiful. But I would hate for somebody to literally use me as what do they call people? What is that thing that they push on people? Role model. There you go. I don't want to be a role model. I'm not a role model for anybody. I don't want anybody to look at me and be like, I want to be like him when I grow up. No, I want you to be you, because you're you're as great as me, and I'm as great as all the greatest in the world. I just haven't come to that potential yet. Because the potential exists in all of us to be the greatest ever. We are already the greatest ever. Like you were saying, we are all gods. We need to come to that realization. We all have that, that within us, that potential. So for us to immediately tell our children as they grow up, like you're dumb and need to be taught to be smart. You're not special and you need to find a skill to be special. You're lost and you need to be found, right? Well, though that's not the case. They were never lost in the first place. They were always special, and they were always the most incredible, intelligent beings ever. They just need to come to that understanding themselves and realize it themselves. That's why a lot of movies and a lot of books and stuff, they push the point that it's not the end of the journey that counts. It's the journey itself, because it's the process of understanding that answer that matters, not the answer itself. Because we all may come to a
just
different
before
answer.
you go further, there's a lot of background noise for somebody coughing in the background for some reason. That's
Yeah,
very
sorry about
loud.
that. Yeah.
Okay, that was your end. Just make you aware of it. If somebody is not muted and actually has a lot
Yeah,
of...
that's me. There's people in the background.
Okay, that's okay. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm leaving it open. You guys go ahead and speak off of what I said. Dance with me.
Can I just say that it's not that easy, is it? Because everything is in code. To find out what's happening, people like
It has
Rich
to be.
decoding.
It has to be. That's the thing. Like I said, if everything wasn't in code, if say the most smartest people in the world, the elites or whatever, even the good elites that don't try to rule the world, they're just as smart and whatnot. If they were to come out and just blatantly throw everything in our face and say, hey guys, here it is. Here is everything. Even if like say the Freemasons and Illuminati and all of them came out and was like, hey, here's our ritual, guys. Here it all is. Here's all of our secrets. Here you go. We'll take that and we'll look at it and we'll be like, okay, so well now what? I don't understand. I don't understand any of this. This is a bunch of random crap to me. What does this mean? What does that mean? Well, that's what we do. We understand what we're doing. It's like, we're not going to sit here and teach you everything, because we're using our own understanding when we're doing this kind of stuff. So literally, if everything was not encoded, where is the mystery? Where is the want to learn? Where is the curiosity? If everything was blatantly in our face, if we automatically just knew everything and we're all wisdomatic, then it would be at a point to where it's like, we wouldn't need to push harder. We wouldn't need to try to innovate. We wouldn't need to become anything. We would just be a stagnant pool sitting at, motionless, because all of a sudden we already know it all. We already have done it all. We've already experienced it all. So where's the fun in that? Where's the life in that? You know what I mean? I think the encoded part of life, the good part of life, the bad part of life, all of that, it's all here because it creates an actual balance. We look at the evil across the sea in other countries, and we see, this is the most terrible thing in the world. And if I could end world hunger, and if I could end this and that, it's like, well, if you ended these things and you ended all that, well, then there would be no innovation. There would be no progress. There would be no continuance. Things would just end, I mean, like, I get it. The idealism behind it is perfect. But say if everything is good, and there's no such thing as bad, then there's no such thing as good either, because we don't have a concept of what good is. By having bad, we have a concept of what good is, and we have something to strive for. We have something to choose to become. If everything was purely bad, same thing. There would be no good, and we wouldn't have a concept of bad either, because there would be nothing to reach for. We would already be there. So that's my long answer, to, I guess, what your statement was, Karen. We need that encoding. We need these secret societies to be, secretive. We need, and I guarantee there's going to be people out there that are, going to hate on me for this, but I don't care anymore, because like I said, this is my understanding. And if you're going to take this at face value and just look at it as the answer, you failed immediately right then and there, rather than taking what I see, coming to your own understanding and realizing why I'm saying it. Now, if you don't agree in the end after all that, then hey, so be it. That's your understanding, and I applaud you for that. I came onto this understanding because I'm still searching and I'm still researching, and this is where I've got. This is my extent. This is my current analytical view of everything, of what's going on right now. Without the evil, not the evil, without the good and without the bad in the world, there's an imbalance. Now, you got to realize there's good and there's bad, and then there's evil and there's enlightened. All right. So you got two different things. You can't put evil and good into good and bad, or evil and enlightened into good and bad, because they're separate. Good and bad is the balance. Evil and enlightened is the choice. That's the choice behind the balance that you have. So if that makes sense, it's like you got those two bits inside of you. Which one are you going to feed more? Evil or the good? Are you going to feed the material or the spirit? You're going to feed the momentary or the eternal? Yeah.
Thanks for that, Matt. Thank you. Rich, there was a question in the chat room from Corey. He says, is there a connection with Donald Trump being 70 years old, 7 months, 7 days old, Organization Day in 2017, which is 777?
Absolutely.
Corey.
There's no doubt there's a connection there. Absolutely. And there's a connection to his time in office on January 31st with sevens also. I just can't remember what it is. But my answer is absolutely. You have to go study that out. Some people have figured that out. Obviously, somebody's saying, hey, what is there a connection with 70 years old, 70 months, 7 days? There's a connection again with the number 7 and 70 with this January 31st too. I don't remember all the details, but there absolutely. It's something you can search out, even on YouTube. It's all part of all these spaghetti noodles coming together to form one big block of something's going to happen. There's a video. It's I don't agree with a lot of it, so I don't want to post it. Maybe I should just take out the parts I don't agree with. But it's a Christian video where they take fractals of time, pi and phi, things like that, and apply it to certain things that have happened. And they all culminate on January 30th or 31st. And it's beyond almost belief what all culminates on that date. And there's a whole lot of embedded things like 444 days to this point, and then another 444 days to January 31st. It's like a balance. So much leading up to that point, and then the exact same on the other. There's a big balance of things that people have done studies on that's incredible, that all have encouraged me that what I'm onto is correct. Again, I could be totally insane, but I think I see something that's coming. And I'm not the kind, if I get pretty sure about something, I'm not the kind to keep quiet about it. I'm just not. I think part of my purpose on the earth is to help stir people up to do their own research and find truth. Find your own truth. If these things inspire you to say, hey, maybe there is something different, do the research. Matt said the sacred stuff, we won't understand it. Well, take that a little backwards. Stand under. We won't stand under what we won't understand. If we don't understand it, we won't support it. That's what stand under means. We won't support whatever it is. We'll just let it go anyway. These secrets. So in essence, that's probably true. What he was saying, it's, we wouldn't even take what they gave us because we don't understand it.
Well, no, we would take what they give us. It's just we would take it ignorantly. That's the problem.
Yeah. Will we do the right thing with it? I don't think so. I think we'd probably just walk away from it.
Kind of like technology. People that believe in aliens and whatnot, they say that aliens came down here and gave us technology, and man being man, we abused it. It's kind of the same exact thing. If you are given something and you don't understand it, you're going to abuse it.
Mankind would definitely abuse knowledge, that's for sure.
Did you, before we went on air, you said that you had some stuff to say, which we're talking about now, but you wanted maybe the chat room, any questions? Is that right, Rich?
Yeah, but, we had this whole thing last time when it went, of course, we lost an hour, but I think it went 6 hours long, and we never took any questions. I never saw any questions. I'm sure people might have it. So if anybody has questions, I'd like to take them if they have them.
Don't go too far.
I can't see it. I can't see it, but no questions so far. Okay, so
would you like me to send you to the chat room?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I can see it in the group chat.
Just getting.
And by the way, thank you, artist, for sending that. I see you sent the
sending
link.
it on the panel. It's on the panel, Rich. The one that on the Hangout. That's it.
Okay, I see it.
Can you put it up on the thing, Karen, like you did last time?
It's up on the side panel. I'll send it to you in your I'll send it to you, Matthew.
I know. I'm just on my phone right now.
Can you see the back chat, Matthew?
I mean, like a screen share. If somebody can screen share the live questions, that way all of us can see them at the same time.
I see the live chat isn't called up to us.
a
I'm
little
still
bit
speaking
behind.
from before. Yeah.
It just takes about, I don't know, a minute, doesn't it? It's about a minute behind.
Should we? Here's one. Should we prepare for changes coming? Yeah, I would say if you're spiritually inclined, pray for. Be strong either way. If you're strong with everything, I got my dog on me now. Hold on, come here, say hello. Can't go out yet, not yet. Okay, not yet. Boy.
Reminds me of Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, that's his thing. He's a beagle, so he's got that strong desire to go out into the wild and sniff everything or whatever, and he's got to go twice daily or he drives me absolutely nuts. Okay, I'm gonna let you down. Not now, no. Sorry about that. So yeah, I would say to me, get close to God, whatever your concept of that is, or whatever that means to you. That should be the case all the time, but this is a time we need to direct our energy so that the good wins out no matter what.
Something with what you were saying. Is it that you believe that an attempt on his life, Trump's life's already been made, and that's what this is all about?
I don't think that this is necessarily what it's all about, but
I got something real quick.
that
I
has
don't mean to
happened.
interrupt. I just don't want to lose what you said a second ago too. So you said that people need to find God, come close to God. I just want to say that that's kind of a small misconception itself in the wording, and I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying people should more realize that they have God within them already. God is already there. They don't need to find him. They don't need to reach him. They don't need him to come to them because he's already there. And as soon as people realize that, I think that'll make a huge change.
Yeah, God is within you, no doubt.
Absolutely. I'm really sorry to interrupt. I just heard you say that, and I really didn't want to lose that.
That's a good. I'm not an orator, that's for sure. So I don't use the right words a lot of times, but that's absolutely correct. Get in touch with the God within you, and to me, that's the eternal Father who is in all of us. Have you gotten in touch with that being or not is the question. Are you close enough to that being, or are you just worried about, like you said, Matt, that the material world, which most people have been manipulated into, that's all they worry about.
Mm.
I'm sorry, Karen. Please re-ask your question, Karen. I really didn't mean to interrupt like that.
I actually just said to Thrive, did he think about that? Carry on, Rich. What were you saying? You didn't think that this was all about life?
No, I don't think that's the big. I think it's a sideshow. I think it's a symptom or a reaction to what's going on. The fix was in for Hillary. Going back to the Q post this week, where he's asking why didn't she concede? I didn't finish the whole that out. And who was the last person who didn't give a concession speech? That was another piece of crap we were given. All the media kept on. We understand that the Clinton is up there she's writing two speeches, a concession speech and a victory speech. Well, she came out in her own book and said, no, she did not work on a concession speech. Why? Because the fix was in. What happened was in the states where they couldn't control the machines, the real vote came out and she lost. And we've been told for a long time that it's pretty much even between left and right, good and evil, but it's not. There's a lot more good than the evil, or people that want to go towards the good and who can recognize evil. That's the thing. Recognize what evil is. And this whole thing is to free mankind, I believe, of the cabal, for lack of better terms at the moment. And because that is the plan and the evil side knows that's the plan, they know that if they take Trump out, that plan stops. So that is a reaction to the plan. Does that answer the question?
Okay, yeah. What is all this thing about these fake, like the Hawaii and Japan? What's that got to do with it then?
I think that it's going to be like the little boy that cried wolf. They keep doing all these fake ones, so that way when the real one comes, everybody's like, blah, whatever's, and then kaboom, nobody runs, and it's mass casualty.
Is it just that, like, they just want to keep us in a state of fear?
Well, I think that's been the case for a long time.
Fear and sex sells.
Yeah, on the dark side, it's all about sex, really.
Yeah, it seems
That's the
to,
material
doesn't
right there. That's the material right there. It's the material and the sexual, really. I mean, the diet is mostly the material, and if you could conquer the sexual in that part of your body, you've really centered your spiritual.
Amen to that. That is true. And this is how they've gotten people to be controlled by their sexual improprieties. They have trapped them in their own devices, and then used them, manipulated them. See, they
Yeah,
take somebody.
they
They
used
say
to-
they take a senator and they find out, oh, he's got a propensity for little boys, let's say, and of course that's not accepted and it shouldn't be accepted. But he goes to Congress, and they know about that because they know all, as Trump says, they've known all. So they eventually get him with a boy that he likes, and they record it. And as they record it, they've got him. Then they come to him and say, just imagine if this got out. Don't worry about it. No problems. As long as you toe the line, yeah, you can put some of your stuff and vote some of your stuff, but there's certain things you need to toe the line with, and this will never come out. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's been a theme in our movies forever, and it's true. That's what they do. But the sexual connection is the big one. That's why it's sex trafficking and sexual molestation and things like that. Not only that, but if you're a Satanist, you start to go down that path anyway. You start to get into that kind of stuff. It's just a natural progression.
That's because we didn't take responsible and command answer. This is why it's happened. Let's take it we take on the macro. Let's take on the micro now. Parents send our children to the school, and they are staying there all day. The parents doesn't visit in the school. They doesn't ask who is the people who teach their children. Who is these people? Visiting the school, see what happened, see how they teach them, what they teach them. No, they are there alone. They are there alone, you see. So it's the same. We allowed these people to trick us like this. And we need to take responsible for our life. Yes, I'm with you, Richie. I'm with you. I'm your soldier too. Yeah, sure. To bring
Thank you.
harmony for everybody, for the benefit of all. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you something. I don't know if this will show up or not. I got this app just to show you. This is one zip code in the state of Maryland. See every little red dot there? This is just one zip code, just a few square miles. Those are registered sex offenders, every single dot. And then you can click on each one and find out who they are. But this is one little neighborhood. This is a neighborhood I grew up in, 5,000 people. Look at the sex offenders in the one neighborhood.
Wow.
So, and I happen to know somebody who was arrested for sexually abusing their own children, and they're not on this list. So this isn't even the complete list. So sex is how they've controlled everything.
Yeah, I bet they've stuck them around schools as well. They like sticking them around schools.
Yeah, there's a school right in the middle of all that I just showed you. An elementary school. It's funny you say that because outside of that zip code is where the middle and high schools are. The elementary school, though, is in the middle of that zip code that I showed you.
Why would they want them anywhere near children?
Can I ask MrThriveAndSurvive one question
Sure.
about something I was researching? It's just his fault because yeah, you're so much about certain things that you don't know actually if it's real. Are they actually portraying those people as bad people for a certain agenda? But what are your thoughts on the problem with a lot of child molested within the Jehovah Witness organization?
Did you say cannibalistic?
No, the child molestation.
Oh, child molestation in the Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah.
I have never heard that before, but it would
Oh,
not surprise me in the least.
that's strange because in the United States of America, they have to pay every year a lot of money. I think it's almost around $1 million, probably even more, for not turning in the papers to the organization that was basically looking into all the child molestation cases on the Jehovah Witness Church. And there was actually 2 years ago, a whole trial in Australia, the Australian Royal Commission, for about 1,000 cases about the Jehovah Witness Church in Australia. 1,000 cases for child molestation within that organization, and they did a report on that, and they are trying to sort that out. And in the United States of America, they already years after years after years, they put the Jehovah Witness Church in front of the court. There are a lot of cases, probably maybe in the hundreds. And what the Jehovah Witness to go for court, and they actually had to pay an amount of money for their supposedly child molestations on those. Sometimes $500,000, sometimes a couple of $10,000. And actually, there was an investigation into the Jehovah Witness Church in America, and I think they have to pay now about $10,000 or $20,000 a day for not turning in the papers into the judges. There was a whole documentary on the French TV about that, and it's going on for very long. I know a lot of people within the Jehovah Witness Church, and I mailed with them, and it's surprisingly that a lot of people within Jehovah Witness Church are molested by elders, and also people within the Jehovah Witness Church. Last year in Germany, there were a couple of cases against the Jehovah Witness Church for child molestation. In the Netherlands, 2 months ago, there was a case for child molestation. Today in a newspaper, there was in a Dutch newspaper, there was a case for child molestation. Supposedly one man has molested almost 100 children, and he has to pay a fee for that. But what is also surprising, when those child molestations and people who do molest child go to court, and they are actually put in jail. So most of the time there is a fee paid, sometimes $500,000, and they get scot-free almost. Or if they are put in jail, when they came out, they are again invited back within the Jehovah Witness organization, because they have a two-witness system. Actually, the molestator and the child who is molested has to come for the Jehovah court. And if one of them says it's not true, they don't do anything about it, and it's put in silence, and the child can talk about it, and most of the time they say, yeah, he prays for it and he will better his life. Well, most of the time he molests a lot of other children. I've known the women who were in the Jehovah Witness Church, both of them were molested. So what is the chance? Two. And when I was a teenager, both were molested, and I already was thinking, that's strange. So I was looking further into it, and it popped up.
Thanks for that.
Well, I think it's a severe case, because those people are still walking around, getting people in their churches, and there are probably, maybe 1 million child molestations within the Jehovah's Witness church. I'm not certain, but they are looking into it. And if you are a Jehovah's Witness guy and you know this and you don't report it to the police, you can be put to court for a couple of years. So it's a severe problem that is happening in the world today. And then within the Jehovah's Witness church, I've done some research. There are a lot of child molestators,
Okay,
and they are not doing anything
okay.
about it. You could. Okay, I will be quiet about it, but if
It's just that word, isn't it? Because we're on a hangout. We're talking about something completely different. You've made your point.
We weren't talking about child molestations, so I want to put this out because I think it's a problem. And I don't accuse everybody on the Jehovah's Witness church, but it is a problem within their organization. They have to do something about it because it's getting way out of hand, and probably it's going to explode and be all over the news. And I'm very angry about this, and I want to put it out there. And you probably don't want to talk about it because it's not a good subject. But I've seen a lot of children get very hurt about this. And it makes me mad sometimes that this is going on in the world. And no government is doing anything about it. They get scot-free most of the time. And it's ridiculous.
Yep, sounds like just like the Catholic Church when they went through the same thing. And they're still paying billions and billions of dollars off to keep more and more not coming out. I'm hoping that this is all part of that where that's all going to be exposed and done away with finally. And if people don't talk about it, it will never be done away with.
There are luckily people talking about it and finally talking about it. This is happening in the Jehovah's Witness church and also other churches. Enough, but it's now all over the news everywhere with those things going on. And probably they over-exaggerated maybe, but well, there are too many people actually also on the internet talking about it, and there are whole sites about child molestation cases against certain children. They are still trying to get to court, but it's a very slow, long process. And sorry that I get a little bit emotional about it, but some people that I were close to were molested by these evil people.
I can understand where you're at for sure. Hillary Clinton and the FBI plotting to overthrow the president of the United States, to me, is minor compared to one child that has to be molested.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Artis. Just to say that Patricia and Vinny have joined our panel. Patricia's been away for a little bit. Hello, Patricia. He's there. He's just on the phone right now. But hello, Vinny.
Hey, hello everyone. Yes, I'm on the phone. I'm ordering some food. I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry that I got a little bit emotional, but
I know. I just wasn't sure if this is quite the right time, and I know that you are, Artis.
what we were talking
You don't even need the churches for this. You know, it happens in people's families. I'm one of
they
those.
go to the
So talking about it is just, on air, just a bit.
Yeah, but in certain organizations there are so many, and they're not ever being sent to court. And an average child molest about 100 children in his lifetime if he gets the chance in those kind of organizations, and that's really
What a shame they're not spiritual, because if they were spiritual people, they wouldn't want to do things like that.
No, and I think it's ridiculous that people do this, and that's why I say to the Jehovah's Witness church, do something about it before it's too late.
I'm sure the ones in power are the ones that sanction it to start with.
Yeah, and the ones in power aren't much better, are they?
Like I said, they're probably the ones that started it.
Oh, probably. It wouldn't. I don't hope so, but it wouldn't surprise me that it's actually a fact, and that is most of the time the people are in power are doing making the rules. It's not the government of a country. It's those big companies like Shell like those companies like that, and the Bilderberg and other people are basically setting out the rules. If you look at the Bilderberg meetings, and you look at your country, and you look a couple of years back, you can actually see what your government is. The people probably went there in the last 5 or 6 years. And it was actually the case in Germany and also in the Netherlands. The certain political parties who went to the Bilderberg for a couple of years, they are now in charge. And the one who weren't invited, they are not in charge. So that's
It just seems to me that when they do all these,
coincidence.
it's all to do with power. It's all to do with someone having control over someone else.
Well, they already decide what to do, and they put the puppets in place, and we are supposedly can choose our leaders, but it's already said and done. They already knew how it's going to be. Only small things have to be arranged for that. Make a whole theater so people will choose a certain party or another party, and they push everybody in a certain way of thinking, so they know that they will elect certain people, and that they falsified probably a lot of the votes, and then the people that they want to be in power are put in power.
Thanks, Artis. Thanks for that. I know it's dear to your heart. You've talked about this quite a few times before on other hangouts. You don't like it, but thanks for that, and thanks for pointing that out. And it's horrible for any child to go through anything like that.
Well, I'm just talking about political parties now, and that they are selected, and not elected. That's the problem.
The Bilderberg Group is started by our queen, Beatrix. And she's not even our queen. She's fake. She's not even from the blood. But let's not go into it right now. I've got so many things about her, about our queen, king. They're fake. Yeah. They're not really from the Netherlands.
No.
It's not. Those are bastard children. And, oh man, if you want to do a hangout about that, let's do it later. I've got so many information about that. They're fake and they molest children. They.
Oh.
Let's do that later.
Yeah, we can do that later.
Yeah, we went to hang out with Mr. Thrive, and he's come on talking about what's happening in the world right now. And I know that that's a very horrible subject, but you've explained it. And thanks very much, Artis, because I know it's close to your heart.
Yeah, we can talk about it, Artis.
Yeah.
I know, but every time that subject is put out about molestation, I will put it in there because they still don't solve that problem.
Let's do it.
They could have solved that problem probably almost 30 years ago, and they don't for some reason.
Anyway, thank you, Artis. Vinny, what do you think about what's happening with what Mr. Thrive's been saying?
For me, he was breaking up all the time, and I'm really, really busy. I did not follow
the state,
everything.
The state of the world, then.
At this moment.
You know, threats going out to Hawaii, Japan.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think, to be honest, I think that North Korea even doesn't exist. It's just a made-up thing, Hollywood thing. It's like, if you watch some videos, it's like a Hollywood thing, you know. It's they can paste in and they can make a whole, how do you say that in English? They can make a whole army look like, they can only have to copy and paste a couple of people in there and you see a whole army. I think all those threats and all those fake things that they tell you on TV and on news stations, I think it's far, far, far overrated. It's just not. It is not there. If he would if you want to threat the whole world, or do a nuclear bombing or whatever, you could have done that years ago. Just click one button and done. But it's all political things between each other, and they're all together, like the Bilderberg Group. They're all together. It's just a made-up thing. That's my opinion. It's just everything is made up. It's just one group that everything makes up and make people scared. But you don't have to be scared. There are no terrorist attacks. There's no one with a red button to shoot everybody down. That's my opinion.
Yeah, how many times have we heard in the last 3 years that we're on the brink of war with this, that, and the other country? You're right about North Korea. That's CIA. And the only reason why we could be in any danger at all would be them attacking us, not any nation state that's real. That's all been a farce.
Yeah. And if you look very good at those images, it's all CGI. It's all layer over layer. If you watch videos about Kim, what's his name? Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, it's so funny. If you look at it, if you're a truther and you look at it with open eyes, you can see it's oh man, it's so fake. They do it in all the Hollywood movies and films. You can,
yeah, Hollywood's better than what we see from what you're talking about.
I'm sorry?
Hollywood does a better job than what the government shows us.
Oh, yes, exactly. Hold on, I got a phone call back. 2 minutes.
You got it.
Also, Mr. Thrive and Survive. I forget your name. I'm very bad with names. Sorry, Richard, was it?
Rich.
Rich. Okay, Rich. I put in a group chat on the side tag. I put that link for that video that has actually proof that they are messing with the thumbs up and thumbs down count.
Yeah, you probably did.
Proof. It's actually proof. He puts his cursor, you can see the glitch, and the glitch is almost, I think, almost 1,000 views or even more. That it actually is showing. I have actually checked the video, and the view count is still not to the point what it's supposed to be. So, but it's always strange also with these truth channels. The same thing are happening to the truth channels. First, they are messing with the view count. Then you get a lot of troll attacks, and they will give you strikes for ridiculous things. That also happened to Karen, but for no reason. We actually got a strike, and YouTube never gave a reason why we couldn't do a live hangout anymore on that channel. So Karen had to make another channel to do her live hangouts. And our first channel, we sorted it out, and then we actually, Karen wrote YouTube a letter for, hey, what's going on? And they changed the whole thing. They said, well, all of a sudden it's something else. And Karen write again and try to, your live, that you can do a live hangout is being revoked. So we asked, well, why is it had been revoked? We never got an answer. They just waited till the 90 days were over, but they never got back to us. So actually, Karen got supposedly a strike for something. They never said where it was for. Our live stream was revoked for 90 days. So we lost a lot of viewers, and we had to start over again and get everybody on the channel, and much were dropping with the viewers, and now they are going back up. Luckily, because we are on the main channel again. And that's happened to a lot of other truth channels. 2 years ago, it happened to other truth channels that I know. And before that, other truth channels that I know. And then the trolls come in and try to give you strikes by accidentally, supposedly showing certain things that contain copyright material. And then you get a troll attack that you basically your hangout is taken down for some. They get in. I don't know how they do it, but they get in your hangout, delete the whole panel, and then show some kind of foul things that you get a strike before. And So they are trying to silence it, and every time they make the same steps. First the view count, then the troll attacks, then they try to stop you live streaming. And
Demonetization.
it's still the step. And the next thing they are probably going to do, what also happened to a friend of mine, when you do a live hangout and it's uploaded, they mess up the sound. It's cut up. You get a whole hangout with that, and they shorten it half the time, and it's all pixelated, and everything is So yeah, because and then actually, friend of mine, the same things that are happening now to our group had happened to his. When he was basically, when you go about 1,000 subscribers, these things start to happen. Just to try to stop you subscribers to getting noticed on YouTube.
I think they do something as well when you start a second channel. To me, when people are there, to get the second channel on the go, it's so slow. It's as if there's a pause button down. It's like this channel has always picked up people.
Yeah.
The other channels have been so slow, and this is what they want.
Yeah, this is what they want. They want the.
Have you ever had a strike, Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, just what he was describing. I've decided, at first I was pretty laid back with it, but I've decided to fight them every which way now. There was a person, I put a little clip in from a preacher, Chuck Missler, and it was 20, 30-second clip, and I had a comment about it. So that allows me to do that under the copyright law. Well, somebody put a copyright strike on me for that, and I couldn't upload videos more than 15 minutes and some other restrictions too. Yeah. So I wrote back and said, I followed all their things. And finally I got to a point where it said, are you willing to go to court to fight this person? I clicked and said, yes. Because I knew they weren't part of that organization, this person. It was just a troll who said he was part of that organization. And they came back and said, the other person won't go to court, so we're dropping the strike. Now, every time I wasn't actually going to worry about monetizing my videos, but when I started doing this with live streams, it automatically makes them, I think I found a control today where I can make it so it's not monetized. But what I found was when I go to my screen, right after it posts, it says not suitable for most advertisers, so they demonetize it. I was like, screw you. So I've been hitting every single one, writing them, you better take this off. You have no right, blah, blah. And they're writing back, oh, we're so sorry, and they take it off. But I just wrote them again saying, yeah, but what you're doing is most of the people come, you get about 80% of your, or 90% of your total clicks within the first day or two that you upload a video, unless it goes viral. So you're taking all that revenue away. Meanwhile, they are running commercials, but they're not giving you the money. So that's another control mechanism they have. And this is not a conspiracy. There's a guy over here called Project Veritas who just exposed Twitter for shadow banning people. You put something out on Twitter if you're on the right, if you're politically on the right, people just think, oh, nobody's interacting. Well, they were shadow banning people on the right. And they said they have certain algorithms. If you put American or Patriot or something like that, they said they had a list, I think it was 200 words. And if you hit one of those words, it'll come up in their algorithms, and they will then shadow block you, or even just block you altogether. So we know this is happening. Jeff Bezos, the head of Google and Alphabet, he stepped down the day that Trump signed that executive order because he wanted to take some of his money instead of getting none because Trump froze it. So that's what that was all about. And yeah, these people are bastards, deep state actors, all that are running these. Look, Google, Twitter, Facebook, they are government entities. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook? No, I don't. I think he's as dumb as a box of rocks. I don't think he could write code more than I could. But he's the face of it that they put out there. The governments have controlled this for their own purposes. It's another spy mechanism and control mechanism of the public. That's all it is.
Well, a friend of mine said some time ago, and I hope I can translate it in good English. I try to do it. I'm from Germany, so sometimes I struggle a little bit with the English language. A friend of mine actually said, well, you don't have to pay for something. You're not the consumer, you are the product.
Yeah, very good. Very good. I don't think you have any problems with English at all. I don't have any problems understanding you.
Okay. Well, sometimes I have a little bit strange wording because I don't know the word and I try to phrase that word with a couple of words, but basically it came down to that. And I thought that was a very interesting statement he made, that you're the, probably if you don't have to pay for it, you're the product, not the consumer.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
There is,
And
in this material world, there is not something for nothing.
No. Some way or another, you
Or
always have to pay.
a reason behind it, right? An agenda.
Yeah. Well, just like you pointed it out, that if what they do, if you are part of an organization, doesn't matter. Well, not really matter what kind of organization. What they always want to do is try to find certain filth about you. Because if they know all your filth, and it's very bad filth that you probably could be sent for to jail, they know that they control you. They can make you do all kinds of things. Otherwise, they say, "Oh, we will tell the police, and you're put in jail." If you don't, yeah, oh no, I don't want to go to jail. Yeah, then you have to do exactly what we want.
Sorry about that. Jeez.
Well, that's all right.
No, you were absolutely right. They just came out and showed that Facebook, when they came out with those emojis, I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were testing people. They were getting you in, see how you reacted to certain things that they would push out on your channel, and see how your emotions were manipulated by the posts that they put out for you. And by that, they learned how to control people with manipulation for who to even vote for, different things like that. But they're finding out all this stuff now, that it's all test. We're in a test tube is what it is. Yeah. It's a social media test tube also.
Yeah. And you probably also saw what was interesting. You now know that here in Germany and also in Europe, it's not allowed to play commercials with smoking in them or liquor. Well, strong liquor. Well, your beer is okay, but certain countries is not strong liquor, and certainly most European countries are not smoking. And I had a nephew of mine over, and I don't watch TV, but he wanted to watch MTV clips. Okay, he was nagging about it. Okay, I thought, well, I watch with him just to make sure what he's watching. And then one clip after another had smoking in them, hard liquor. And smoking again, hard liquor, people smoking. I think, oh, that's how they indoctrinate our child to, because actually the rate of people smoking is young children is going up, not down, it's going up. And I thought, hey, that's strange, it's going up with all the things they tell you nowadays and all the knowledge is that it's bad for you. And actually, more children are smoking. I think, how could it be? That's not in the commercials. It's not in movies that much anymore. Where is it? Well, it's actually in all the music videos. That's how they do it. So I was very, yeah. I was
and the social media, of course, that they copy.
Yeah, yeah.
Watch.
Yeah, they want to be that cool guy in the clip that has that big car and a lot of women are surrounding them. And they think, oh, he's cool. Oh, he's smoking. So if I smoke, I probably get the rest also. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's cool to smoke.
That's why they also advert cars back in the day. They always put a nice woman beside the car. That guy was thinking, that's a nice woman and a nice car. So if I get that nice car, I'll probably get also the nice. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to buy that car. Yeah, that's how and that's also done with smoking. Just before the Second World War, a lot of men were smoking, mostly men.
Yes.
It was cool to smoke then, wasn't it?
Well, and actually it was dropping after the Second World War. It was actually the rate of people that were smoking was dropping, was going down, and the tobacco industry thought, ooh, that's not good for us. We don't earn a lot of money. Less and less men are smoking. So they thought, wait a second, now we have that woman revelation. So what they did in that time period, they had a lot of adverts with women smoking, a lot of women smoking on the television. So yeah, they want to make it hip for the self-independent woman. If you were
smoking films. In the old films, they were smoking.
Well, they actually want to have more women smoke, and they succeeded because a lot of women indeed it was on the rise that more women and women were smoking. So there, again, went up. So the tobacco company was very glad by that. And that's what they always do. They try to hijack a revolution to sell their product. And it wouldn't surprise me if they actually also do that with the flat earth community, to put a product in there so that they can profit it from.
Can I make some remarks, guys?
Yeah, man.
Go on, Devon.
Yeah, I'd just like to say with the whole social engineering thing with Facebook and every social media platform, you can actually trace all that stuff back to this one think tank that was started in the early 1920s called the Tavistock Institute. It's called the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, and it's a group of high-level like scientists that study psychology and mass patterns in logistics and the way people move in society and the way the market flows. And they've actually engineered a lot of the movements that we're seeing today that are destroying society, like the LGBT extremism, the communist Marxism that's coming about, the spying agencies. You can all trace all that stuff back to them. Basically, it's a big game of understanding psychology and how it works. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we're beginning. Well, not beginning, but we're, when you, everybody's waking up to that now, aren't they? Hopefully.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that a lot of people are waking up, and that we have this great Sun and Moon group with a lot of great people who have a lot of knowledge. And just like Jay always says, I have a lot of aha moments that I think, oh, that's it. Now I can put the puzzle together. Now I understand fully how it works. Now I know more, and that's great that we have all these people on the Sun and Moon channel with that knowledge, and that they share it all together. They are not being ignorant, or they're not being I mean to say they're not being selfish. They want to share it, just like MrThriveAndSurvive, and Matthew, and Devon, and Vincent, and Patricia, and Judith, and all the other people that are regularly guests on our hangout, and even in the chat, who sometimes put very good comments. I'm very glad to be part of this, and that we can share our knowledge and put the puzzle pieces together. And then we, just like Jay often says, we have a lot of aha moments that we think, oh, I didn't know that. Let's research that. And therefore, we have a very widespread knowledge altogether. Everybody.
Thanks, Artis. Rich, what's your next bit of plan then? What is it you're going to be putting out leading up to this weekend then, as this weekend you said is a very important weekend?
Honestly, I don't know. We'll see. It's like each day brings something new. I'm going to be doing this. For those of you who haven't been watching, I've got chronic pain, and this supposedly gets rid of it. I just got it yesterday. It's called suppose this is one of the new technologies. It's called C60. It's carbon 60. It's infused with coconut oil. And some people that have tried this said it's absolutely a miracle. Now, I started using this yesterday, and I do have less pain today, but it's not gone like another person said. But I can tell you one thing, and this other person, this woman reported on it, or was it a man? I've seen two other people talking about this, about having very, I'm not a person that normally remembers my dreams or has lucid dreaming, anything like that. But with this, last night I had the most lucid dreams I've had in probably 20 years. And even not lucid completely, but I could start the process where I wanted to go down in my dream, and then it would unfold on its own. But it was very, very vivid, and then I would wake up and remember it. And that's not usually me. And it's supposed to give you a lot of energy, a lot of pep, wake your mind up type of thing. And it's 100% natural. I don't know. It's the way the molecule is. I don't know if you can see the molecule.
Yeah, I'm back a little bit. Oh.
But it's Yeah, it's a double tetrahedron, something, whatever the way the molecule is. It's supposed to really work with your body well, and we'll see. But my pain is less today, but that could be just a day that I'm having a better pain day. I don't know yet,
Well,
but I'll
Where
be.
do you have pain then?
Blue lotus flower also helps with lucid dreaming. I found out a lot.
What those? Lotus flower?
Yeah, blue lotus from the Nile. It's an Egyptian flower.
Oh, okay, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, it's really powerful for dreaming, meditation, lucid dreaming, that kind of stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Also for pain, what my dad has been using for a long while, and also I've been using it. It's a natural antibiotic without any side effects. That actually reduces the growth of cancer.
If you're going for lucid dreaming, you definitely want to stay away from any and all unnatural elements of life. If it's man-made or if it's of man, you want to stay away from it for that. At least I think, what is it, like 24 to 72 hours, and it's the cleansing period to stabilize your natural energy. So that way, when you actually try to do this lucid dreaming, you have a control over it rather than an incomplete control over it. And you're able to retain it as well.
Yeah, I see the biggest challenge there is the RF, the radio frequency radiation that we get from all our devices, being the biggest problem there. So yeah, I agree with you there. That's the one thing is we try to eat as organically as possible, so that's a good thing.
And also, what helps, what one of was going towards to before, is propolis. You heard about it probably. Well, very well known, propolis. I'm still surprised that a lot of people don't know it. It's been around since the Egyptians. They even used it to better the health. It's a natural antibiotic. And it's extracted from the beehive, and it cures. I've seen a video. I don't know if it's actually 100% true, but actually there was a woman that had severe cancer, and it was cured by taking propolis. And also, my dad went to the hospital for an infection, a virus infection, and he got normal antibiotica. And normal antibiotica nowadays is so strong because they have to make it stronger every 5 years, because a lot of people eat meat and there's a lot of antibiotica in the meat, so they have to make it stronger every 5 years because the body gets resistant to it. So he got a very strong dose. We are vegetarian, probably too strong of a dose, because my dad is health disimproved. It went worse, and he was a very strong man. Basically, seems sliding down.
Artist, you have a video of this, don't you? Why don't you just put the link in the back chat, and then Thrive can watch it if he wants?
Yeah,
because you've got a video on your channel about this, haven't you?
Yeah, this is a video about my channel. Now my dad is using propolis for about half a year now, and his health improved a lot. He's just like he was 5 years ago, before all the viruses. He's strong. He can cycle 50 kilometers again. He can lift everything as he was before. He's 74 years of age, and he's probably in the best health of his life he ever was.
Yeah, definitely put the link there. I'm into that kind of stuff. This is supposed to also be antiviral, antibiotic. The people that know my total story, I have a medical condition where I was very prone to getting infections. I was taking antibiotics all the time, which caused yeast to grow in my system, all kind of different things. And the doctor one day told me, he said, because of your condition, it won't be long. You'll probably die because the antibiotics won't be strong enough to be able to do that. Well, that's when I got into making colloidal silver, and then I perfected that, I think, to the best you can perfect, and I started a business. I then gave it to my sons. But anyway, that saved my life and still does every single day. I haven't had to take antibiotics for that except for once now in the last 7 years. That's because when I was living in a trailer, I didn't have air conditioning in one part of it before I got set up with electricity and everything. And being with you guys, 45 degrees Celsius, 115 to 20 degrees here Fahrenheit, it got too hot. And I didn't even think about that, but you can't refrigerate it and you can't have it hot. And I got one infection because of that. I was like, why am I getting an infection? I haven't gotten an infection in 6 years. but it was because that I didn't even think about it. But I couldn't control the temperature of the product one time. But anyway, yeah, alternative stuff literally has saved my life.
Anyway, we don't want to go to the doctors much, do we?
No, heck no. Pills, powders, and
Terrible.
potions.
It's terrible. You think you go to the doctors to get help, and all they're doing is helping to make you ill.
All part of the system.
We've been going for nearly 3 hours now, Rich. I just wondered if you wanted to.
Yeah, I was going to see if you wanted to do that thing we were going to do and maybe end this.
Yeah. Is there any way you want to finish about what you're going to do? Because obviously you're going to carry on making little videos, aren't you? And
yeah, you know, with this, it's really news driven. While we've been here, I saw something pop up saying that evidently this memo is going to be released before the State of the Union. Can't verify that, but that's a red pill to a lot of people when that comes out. I've never, ever, ever heard Congress say when this comes out, people should be arrested. People should be, and these are people in high government, should be arrested. And some people will commit suicide, according to Q, because of this memo. I've never, ever heard anything like that. So this is really going on. It really is going down. So they're either going to be red pilled and exposed, or I don't know. I still think it's, I can't answer the question because I don't know how the news is going to take it, but I will update everybody if they want to keep paying attention.
Can I say something about the QAnon thing?
Sure.
It's come to my attention that there's a lot of people looking into it lately where QAnon has always been associated with this guy named Tyler. And some people have figured out that Tyler is actually an AI program, like an algorithm, that it could be potentially automatically generated stuff to produce a co-op within the deep state itself. It's just a possibility. I'm not sure about it though.
Yeah, that was in the community of people that have been following the QAnon stuff. That came up pretty early, actually, because it was so good. They said this has got to be AI. But there's certain things I don't see how it could possibly predict artificial intelligence. How would it know that? Because Trump, for example, when he went to Asia, or even when he was going over the Davos, it came out that he wasn't going, but the QAnon post said he was going. And he did. So I don't know. There's certain things to me that I don't believe. And plus artificial intelligence to me would have constantly gotten more complex. This has gone the other way. It's gotten simpler. And I think that's the reply to people that did certain YouTubes that are connected to it. There's certain intelligence people. I have to keep reminding people that if you're in the military, and I was, so I understand it, and you have secret clearance or above, and you kept those secrets as long as you should have, you could always be used again in the military, even though you're not in the military anymore. It's like once intelligence, always intelligence. And there's certain people on YouTube that are in that category, and I'm convinced they are getting intelligence. That is good. The person that ends up on Alex Jones, and I know that'll throw a lot of flags up, but Jerome Corsi, I'm convinced, is a arm of the Trump administration. He will come out and tell you what they want to be made public now. He's one of those people. Roy Potter, he's got a YouTube channel. He's another, if you want to follow him. I'm convinced he is actually convinced of military intelligence. In fact, they had him do a sort of a false flag little thing to flush out some people during this QAnon stuff. So if it is artificial intelligence, it's very scary because it's so good that it will realize that we humans are a threat anytime now, and that'll be a different issue.
I largely agree with most of that. There's some people that say it could be a quantum computer behind it. Have you heard of Jordy Rosie, the guy at D-Wave?
No.
Yeah, you should probably look into that. He said some really interesting stuff when it comes to quantum computers and the capabilities of them now. But thanks for sharing that.
Oh, sure. Well, like I said, one of the latest, I don't know if you were here early when I said this. Every now and then we get a drop that will prove that it is still a person working with the president. And that happened 2 days ago or yesterday. I can't remember. The days run together for me. But and that's on purpose too, I think, because a lot of these posts come at late at night and early in the morning, so you don't know what day they were. But one of the ones was, we got a time marker, Delta 22. That in the past gave you how long it was going to be before Trump would tweet. And it would be something in his tweet that usually connected. And exactly 22 minutes later, Trump tweeted. Now, I don't understand how artificial intelligence would be able to know what he's actually going to hit the send button on his phone. So that's what convinced me that there is people around him. We've gotten pictures of the pen sitting on his desk when he was at Camp David. We've gotten pictures of Air Force One over North Korea when he was over there, and things like that. They just could not have come from anywhere but the White House or Camp David when he was there. And to me, artificial intelligence can't go in and take a picture and then send it through. So maybe can. I don't know. But my thinking is it is actual high intelligence people working with the president.
So what we say this then is to watch your channel this weekend, because if anything happens, won't you?
Yeah, I don't, and I want to go down the Christian route, so to speak, and explain what I think there. And then part of me doesn't want to do that because what if I'm wrong? And so I've been trying to stick mostly to the secular part. But there are a lot of things in the Bible, to me, that are happening before our eyes, that are possible fulfillments of it. But I've always been fascinated with time. I used to be a trader. I used to trade Forex and different things like that. I've had so many weird things in my life that come together and make all this stuff make sense to me. Manipulation of markets, how that's done. And by the way, the reason why Trump keeps bragging, at first I was like, don't keep bragging about the stock market because it's due to crash. Well, he took out what's called the plunge protection team, and there's another team that purposely will crash the market so they can make money on the downsides. He took them out. He took out the manipulation for the moment. So it's just soaring higher because they don't know what to do. Their thing collapses if the markets don't move in the direction they want them to. So because they can't short them right now, because most of that's illegal, it has no direction to go but up, and it's been parabolic forever. And parabolic spikes always crash. So I don't know what's going on there, but a lot of things are coming together at once right now that tells me we're going to have a major shift. And I don't see how the market's going to actually go up if half the population of the world starts to get red-pilled at a single moment in time, which is possible, I think, coming up. So I try to stay more secular with it, but I do have that temptation. In fact, believe it or not, I think I'm going to do almost like a Julian Assange, but it's a different type of thing. I'm going to do probably a kill switch video, where if all of a sudden I'm not available, a video will just show up on YouTube or wherever one day to explain what I think happened to me. So just weird stuff like that. I'm convinced people want to keep talking me out of this, that somebody has been manipulating my computer. That last hangout, okay, maybe we lost connection. Fine for that hour. And that's fine. But when I was doing the next thing and found out that when I wanted to do more research, I was doing research, and my pages wouldn't load. I'm like, what the heck? Why won't the pages load? And I'm not even working on my computer. I'm taking notes, things like that. And I just went back and clicked on my browser again to go do a search. I did a search. It just wouldn't open. And I finally realized the internet wasn't working on it. So I'm looking around and I see the little airplane in my tray. It was put into airplane mode. I reported it takes 3 clicks to take you to airplane mode. It takes 4 because I don't even have it in my tray. I have to go find it. I have to click on it, find it, and I don't have it in my tray there. I got to type it in. So I'd have to actually physically type in to get there, then click 2 more times to turn it into airplane mode. And to me, I'm not going to be convinced that it isn't somebody manipulating. I'm sorry. It's never happened before. I wasn't playing with my mouse or anything. I was taking notes. In fact, I wasn't even on my computer. And before I know it, I'm not connected. I'm in airplane mode. What the heck's that all about? So I hate that too, because I hate to go that conspiratorial, because that's really tinfoil hat stuff. But I figured I want to do it a sort of a kill switch. And I'll give you a little hint. Read between the lines. That'll be a key to my kill switch when it comes up. So if something happens to me or something happens that I think might happen, I think I might do a video to explain it to the rest of the world. Hopefully most of us here won't have to worry about that.
That doesn't sound very good, Rich.
No, it's actually a good thing for us.
Okay. I'm glad that you're upbeat and see that everything's a good thing at the moment, because I don't know, I don't feel sit so comfortably with what's happening at the moment, but I'm glad that you're it looks good.
It may look bad for a couple days, the darkness before the light type of deal, and you may hear some noise here. My dog's gonna go nuts, but anyway, somebody's coming home. But yeah, darkness before the light. You know, it's always darkness before the light is the saying anyway. And when it's dark, but I think we're gonna maybe feel some darkness before we can breathe a sigh of relief. That's the way I look at it. But then I think it will be good. I think we're heading towards a good outcome.
Basically, look out for what you're doing over the weekend then, Rich.
Right. And if I don't do anything, it means nothing's happening. But I will do a review on this. That's why I was holding this up, to let you know I was going to do a review on this, because people that are in a lot of pain want me to talk about this. And I understand that. I've had chronic pain for 20 years, and some years have been really worse than others. And this, by the way, was $200. So 8
Wow.
ounces.
Well, proposed pills are 250 capsules for only 25 euros. So that's a little bit.
Did he get rid of his pain? Did he have pain?
My dad had severe muscle pain, and he couldn't even drive his car anymore. And he's taking those pills now for half a year, and he can drive and bicycle and do everything again.
Can you spell it? Because I want to make sure I'm hearing you right.
I put it in
Oh,
Awesome.
And extract some cannabis oil.
Also about the other thing I was talking about. I won't mention it again because maybe people get upset about it. But I put
Sorry,
both
Vinny, what did
links.
you say? Vinny said something. Sorry, everybody's talking together. What did you say, Vinny?
Just try to grow your own marijuana and extract some THC oil from it.
Yeah,
You will.
that also helps indeed.
Do you think that we should end the hangout now then, Rich? Did
Yeah.
everything you want to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah,
I appreciate everything that you said, Rich. There's some good info, man, and I was glad to be able to converse with you as well.
Hey, same here.
Yeah.
I was I'm
Really
never
nice
ever disappointed by anybody on this hangout ever. It's always fantastic.
Oh, and we're always, very happy to have you coming to Sun and Moon. Anyway, Rich is a really lovely person, and he's a very spiritual person.
Oh, thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. Same with you.
So
Yeah, I learned a lot of new stuff. Didn't hear about today.
Karen, I got a question. Why does the live chat disappear after you post the live feed, after the live feed's over?
I don't know. Vinny would be the best one for that one. Vinny's not there at the moment. Vinny!
Most of the time it does after the hangout is over and it's rendered. The live chat is not live anymore, so that's probably why it's gone. Because we are not live, so there's also no live chat.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why it goes. And in fact, I can only see so far up the live chat. Do you know what I mean? It'll only go so far up. Anyway, we're going to end this hangout. Jay's not here, so thank you, Jay. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Devon. And Mr. Thrive and Survive.
Yeah, thank all of you. Have a good
Can I
weekend,
say
guys.
something about the antibiotics before we go?
Sure.
People who love chicken liver, don't eat it. Never eat it. Chicken liver
No
is
problems here. No problems here.
Chicken liver. Yeah, I worked for many years in a slaughtery, not for the slaughter, but I'm an engineer. I created satellite parts. I created rockets, everything, years and years, and I created a lot of slaughtery machines. Yes, I'm sorry about that, but I know now what's going into the liver. The chicken liver, they feed them with antibiotics all day long. And if you eat them, I'm sorry, you're fucked.
It never made sense to me to eat the filter of the body.
No, but I know that a lot of people, 1,000, millions of people like chicken liver. Don't eat it because it will take you away from, it will poison you.
I think it's almost the same with the liver of a cow or other animals. So.
Every liver.
Yeah.
That's only, I still can remember that we were talking about the antibiotics. So I just wanted to give them.
If you're stacking on all those suntan lotions, that's where it goes.
Yeah. But I really wanted to say this about the chicken liver because that's the only one thing that I really, really know for 100% sure.
And I also know another product that is very common in the Netherlands. Don't eat filet Americain. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Vinny. Thanks, everybody. We're back on Sunday. Mr. Thrive and Survive, and check his channel out all weekend for any updates because he will be giving them. Won't you, Rich?
Yes, and I'm trying to get into the habit also, if you follow me on Twitter, that I post before I'm going to do a video. I'm not always doing that, but I'm trying to do that. Or if there's new news, I'm tweeting it out as well.
Okay. So thanks again, everybody, and Mr. Thrive and Survive. It's goodbye from us.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
It was a great hangout.
Yay. Good night from us.
Night night.